Coffee and Cream on Hail Varsity Radio with Andrew Rodgers and Damon Benning.
Johnson's 0-2. There's a fly ball to right. Woods going back. He's at the warning track, and he makes the catch. Anderson just missed a game winner. And Johnson shuts the door to send Maryland to the championship game.
Eighth batter of the inning for the Dodgers. They lead 3-1. The 1-0 is a high fly ball to right center field. Paul going back to the wall. He looks up and it's gone. A 3-run home run for J.D. Martinez.
Here comes the 2-1 pitch on the way to Franco. Bouncing ball at first. This could do it. Ball game over. Cubs win.
Testing it before the face-off, realized it was broken, snapped it in half, got a new stick, then went back to the face-off circle. Out in front of Chance. Amadio, he scores! Set up by William Carlson. 6-0 Golden Knights.
Miami now in his zone defense with Brown on the right wing. Lost the ball, poked from behind by Butler. Butler gets it back and slams it. And the lead is 17. Timeout Boston. Miami's got the ball with 10 seconds left. The clock is winding down. The Miami Heat's improbable postseason run continues. After blowing a 3-0 series lead, the Heat stop the Celtics in Boston and make history themselves. They become just the second 8 seed ever to make the NBA Finals.
Hey, good morning. Coffee and Cream in the morning on Hail Varsity Radio, powered by Currency. Damon.
I'm doing the same thing you are. Is this thing on?
Andrew Rodgers.
You know what's fun?
Happy to be back this week.
So it's weird, right? Normally when you come back from a layoff, Shane, did you forget how to do your job? Nah, I'm not starting on this dude because he gets all personal. All right.
So one day.
Sorry, bro. It's all good.
Come on, Shane.
What did I do?
It doesn't seem – I don't love my audio. But
I didn't love mine either at the beginning, but we're good now.
So either we're getting kind of weird.
I mean, the controls are probably a little off since I was gone a day, but
Well, Cam has different ears than you?
probably. He's taller.
Definitely different height.
Childish. See? Normally you come back from break and you're like, oh, shoot. And it's a Tuesday going up on a Tuesday. And I'm mad because our
You're mad.
I am, because our team is reporting it's 7. So if you're getting there now, you're late. So they were probably there at 6:40.
So if they're listening right now.
No, I doubt it. Although I do have a couple of coaches that are addicted, super addicted. So they listen to the show.
I heard caffeine is an addictive drug.
So, yeah, that's just why we made you the coffee. It's funny because nobody really understands that's when I text that in the group text, I'm like, well, shoot, he's the energy. Let's go coffee and cream. Right? I'll be the mellow guy because I'm supposed to be the quiet talker.
Yeah, there's no hidden meaning.
Everybody made it a black-white thing. And I was like,
what?
Not this time.
What?
A lot of times I joke, but not this time. Seriously, I have to match your energy a lot of times. So,
but I can't have my coffee without cream. Just so you know.
Which, by the way, line of the vacation, I was gone for Caleb's surgery, and you were with Ravi, and she really does like Ravi, but it was funny because she goes.
This is your mom.
Yep.
Okay.
Totally. She goes, Andrew just didn't laugh as much with Ravi. When his personality is coming out and he's laughing, that's what I like. I was like, but Mom, I said, do you like Ravi? Was he dominating the conversation? And she goes, I don't know. I'll tell you a couple more times after Andrew works with Ravi, because when Andrew's laughing and you guys are having fun, it's a good show. I was in tears. She's
super sweet.
And she's totally pragmatic. She's breaking.
Oh, so she fits me perfectly.
She's breaking down if she thinks you're having fun. In my head, this is what I wanted to say. I was like, Mom, you don't know. I know you think he's young, good looking, whatever, but he's kind of a jerk. Like,
I thought you were going to say, but he's kind of ugly.
He's very principled, and it kind of has to go a certain way. So let's just relax. Andrew will be fine. It was she like didn't know what to say. Like she felt conflicted, but apparently she likes when you're having fun.
Does she watch on YouTube? I'm going to give the heart on the
I
stream
don't
right
know
now.
if she's up yet. When I talked to her yesterday, I never wanted to be alone on holidays. So my nephew's back from whatever the deal, right? So they got back day before yesterday, and my sister's taking her daughter back to St. Louis. They just got back. So he came back to Omaha because they all flew to Florida. And she's like, well, she's kind of stressed about that. I said, hey, are you eating? I said, how are we doing? We good? And she's like, well, I said, what are you going to do for dinner? I said, do you want something simple? What do you want to do? Because I was just going to do burgers. I just wanted an old school burger, like on a regular kettle grill.
Total Memorial Day meal.
Right. And that's not normally my thing. Like, I'm going to show you, like, I smoked and grilled cod for fish tacos. Remember the conversation I had with Micah, and he wanted fish tacos? So, and listen, he and I are the only ones that roll with fish. I was like,
so you guys tested to see which was better.
It's unreal. But this was like, what day was that? Friday or Saturday?
Would have been Friday.
It was one of them, right? So, and I asked her yesterday, I said, she said, well, I got a couple of things that I can eat because I always wonder if she's eating, right? I just want to make sure she's good.
Yeah.
This was her sample plate. She goes, she's from Houston, right? So there's some Southern to her.
And not to be confused with the bar up the street.
No. So there's some Southern to her, right? And unlike the NCAA regionals, I get directions.
Oh, what are you trying to say?
Dude, that field of 64, we got to talk. And maybe it's because we're junkies, but I'm a little upset. So
we'll save it.
So she's what she'd call a Southern lady. I can't say gal because she thinks gal is outdated. So these were her options. She goes, well, I took out, there's some hamburger that I could use. But it's what I got. I gave it to her from the half cow. So she's wondering if the shelf life. I'm like,
that'll last
12 months. You're good.
Yeah, exactly. That'll last a lifetime.
According to us over there on 108th and Harrison, you're good. So she had that. She had some brats that she could have done. And she had some feather bones. Do you know what feather bones are?
No.
Okay. I'm not laughing at you because a lot of people don't know what feather bones are unless it's a regional thing. Feather bones are like what Applebee's would call riblets.
Okay. I'm there.
It's kind of the part that people used to discard, but then it kind of became popular. So she had some feather bones and she goes, well, I think I want to clean some greens too. Which I almost hung up the phone because what are you laughing at? Look, he's laughing. What do you? First of all,
he just goes.
That's totally on me.
What do you know about greens, Shane?
I could just see the motions going there. Just
So we're on the phone, so I can't see
emotions or just.
But
motions?
I know she's processing. I'm like, wait a second. We decide between like steak or pork chops or chicken or fish. She's going between basic burger, brats, which I get,
right?
Greens and feather bones. And I'm like,
I thought, whoa.
Exactly, T.O. Which, by the way, he gave a clinic not a clinic. He did outside run game with Nebraska staff last week. And they're like, yeah, I thought you guys were a good interview. Can't touch T.O. I was like, yeah, whatever.
It was just one lick on an ankle.
You're out. You're out, whatever. dude's got 40 years
Yeah, thanks,
experience
guy.
on me.
Yeah, thanks, guy.
But anyway, so
Did I mention that now your name doesn't even pop up?
I was so mortified I forgot to call her back to see what she ended up eating. But that's quite a palate, right? That'd be like, yeah, I'd like either sushi, maybe a little tandoori, or a burger. So I don't know what she had, but I was worried about
She
it.
was in the mood for a bunch of different cuisines.
I just simply made a burger, and it was
Lights out.
It was really good, but it was so simple. And I told you I went to that place called Echo Thrift, the store on 96th and Q, where you can dude, you need to go.
Yes.
there. You need to go there because my pet store is right next to there. So I got that kettle grill for like $39.90.
That's it,
Dude, it's every bit of $39.90.
Oh, okay.
Like
The leg fell off.
It's flickering.
well, I broke the handle already.
Yes.
Did I carry it with
little
like
Gorilla Glue on it?
I do have Gorilla Glue.
Yeah,
Good on you.
I have that. I have super glue. I have hot glue.
Good on
What kind
you.
of glue do you need? I feel like a glue dispenser.
Wow, you been doing Mr. Fix It Upper?
Oh man,
So
I did
so
a
the
lot of
holiday
fix-it projects
so
this
the
weekend.
holiday it was cool. Like I didn't leave the house. I started. This is funny. I started with like 409 gallons to the mile, or
miles to
fuel
the gallon.
range. My fuel
Yeah,
range
yeah.
was 409.
Mhm. The estimated one.
I got in the whatever you call it, the SUV this morning, 384.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't
You drove maybe 10 minutes.
Nope.
This weekend.
walked a ton. Took Micah to go hoop. We went to the grocery store for like minimal stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it. I'm going back to Fairway today because apparently,
Speaking of the grocery store, did you see? I never pick up the ad ever. I'm not an ad guy. I should be.
I told you need to
I
be an
know,
ad guy. I
I
sent
know.
you the ads from
Yeah,
Boys.
Yep, and I utilized it. By the way, I did get 6 cases of soda on Friday.
Did you really?
I did. Couldn't
So
believe
you
it.
made fun of Shane, but
yep.
you broke down.
I did.
Don't put that crap on me.
So you know how I've been trying to cut out
Soda.
Well,
I didn't want to send it to you, but I felt like I was holding out.
So what I did was I'm gonna try to drink 0 sugar. I think that'll help a little bit.
I don't know enough
Still-
about the deal.
So you're still getting the caffeine, the bubbles. You're just not getting the sugar, which adds to fat, which accumulates when
Right.
you drink a lot of soda.
Yeah.
So I got a couple of 0 sugar. It was Coke, cherry vanilla Coke, 0 sugar.
Shane?
Actually pretty good.
Good thought or bad thought, Shane?
Actually pretty good.
It's not bad.
Got some Sprite because Ashley's mom was in town.
Oh,
And
there you
also,
go.
you can't ever
Sprite's
have
good.
too much Sprite at the house because whenever you really need it, you tend not to have it. That's at least in our house. Like
Caleb-
whenever you need it, when you're sick,
Caleb's friend likes Sprite
kind of a Sprite guy.
and Fresca.
Ooh, how about a Fresca? And
What-
then root beer because we make root beer floats.
Okay, Micah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not a good idea.
That's his jam.
Listen, guy.
It's a little pocket Hercules.
So I got 6 cases of soda. We spent like $100 at Fairway. Couldn't believe it.
Dude, you got out of there cheap. Did you buy any meat?
Yeah, because we got burgers for the weekend.
If you spent $100 at Fairway, you did well.
And walked out with 6 cases of soda. You bet.
No, that's terrible.
Yeah.
But you got 3 for free.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then I found out though when I went to Family Fair, you could get 4 cases for $14.88.
Just 4 for 14.
4 for $14.88. And I did the math. I would have been better off getting my soda from Family Fair.
So if you would have bought 8 cases, for $30
versus it was
6,
I think it was $8.99 a case. So yeah,
I did not know that. Shane,
So
was
I
it
think-
$8.99
I think it was
case?
like $27 for soda.
So you got 6 for 27,
Yeah, it was like
or you could have got 8
was
for
like
30.
8 for 30.
$9 for a 12 pack. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
So remember, you know what's funny about this? Since we're doing a sports show and
on a
talking,
Monday, on a Tuesday.
well, I did reference
Monday,
the
Tuesday.
NCAA
Yeah, we
field
did.
of 64, which
We
I'm
did.
going to hammer in a minute. Because how, if you're Maryland, are you a 2 seed? But anyway, Shane laughed at me. When I told him that soda's expensive. You were paying $9 a case.
Yeah.
Dude, that is a lot. See, that alone, right? And I don't drink pop, so I don't have to worry about it. But that's enough to make me quit.
I was cringed. I literally cringed when I saw $27. And I'm like, well, you know what? I'm getting 3 more. So if you're really looking at it from a like per capital investment, it's good until you go to Family Fare and you see that deal. So I picked.
By the way, did you go to the one on 108th?
Which Fairway or Family Fare?
Family Fare.
Family Fare, yeah, right up the road.
Nicest people in the world.
Fantastic. Same people.
They got to be
like the
worked
same
to the
6 people.
They got to be worked to the core.
Yeah.
So they know me like ridiculously.
So I added on Saturday. No, it would have been Sunday. It would have been Sunday. So that's when I chose to do the burgers on the Blackstone. And I'm like,
Smash?
I was going to, but they were so thick for me.
They're hard, man.
So I decided just to grill them normal, which they turned out to be pretty good. I just had to leave them on there a little longer because they couldn't really cook like they would on a grill. And I made homemade mac and cheese to go with it. And I'm not one to follow a recipe. I'm not very good at that.
Yeah.
I like to eyeball things and just say, yeah, we'll see if it tastes good. We'll see if it sucks.
A lot like my mom. Hey, what's the recipe?
What?
Like I asked her to give me her right arm.
I was
thinking
more like the NCAA committee. Like, we'll see if it sucks or we'll see if I got it right.
Dude, total crapshoot. Put it on the dartboard.
So
that's a great question.
Just put like a couple cups of milk in there, mild cheddar, some Velveeta, put the Danos in, sprinkled in that Danos.
He was all over my TikTok, which I spent entirely too much time watching.
Because he's ridiculous.
Well, why is he always dropping his meat on the floor?
He explains it.
He does that way too many times.
Why does he do that?
10-second
Why
rule.
does he do that all the time?
I don't know. Just for the added view.
So Boyce sent me a deal from Fairway, and he literally threw a tri-tip on the floor.
Yeah.
And I was like, I should send him to Fairway. Because
not really.
Yeah, he says the 10 and then he washes it off anyway, so I think it's funny. But after you do it like 6 times, it's not funny anymore. Stop throwing your meat on the floor.
It's kind of funny that you're bringing it up though, which is what he wants you to do, right? He wants people to talk about it.
Guess what he puts in the background of his TikToks?
Walmart.
Correct.
Walmart. Mm-hmm.
I'm like, him and Ruru are kindred spirits.
Mm-hmm. Well, it is his company, so that's how I knew to go to Walmart by watching his TikToks.
Yeah, whatever.
But no, we had a really good weekend at the house too, because her mom came into town, so we got to spend some time with her. We don't get to see her more than like once or twice a year.
Can we call her by name or no?
Vicky? Mm-hmm.
All right, that's my sister's name.
Mm-hmm.
My oldest sister's name, Vicky.
Is that the one from Cali?
So
the one that is like
Vicky's
super smart.
They both are. Vicky's Bloomberg via the Washington Post.
Right.
Tracy's super smart too. She's on the Bay Bridge out at. She's a Lady Don.
Okay, not the one from Cali. That's the one I was thinking of initially. The other one.
Just remember, I'm the dummy.
Which sometimes I don't get because you know so many words
Listen,
that I don't.
So
I feel like if we showed up at the spelling bee, I'd get my butt whooped. By you.
Oh, I definitely can't spell. Not a chance. I Googled.
But at least you would know the definition before that. You wouldn't have to ask for it. I would have to ask for every definition.
So listen, I don't know what's out there. And by the way, if your kids are out of school, man, I don't know if you're rejoicing because you don't have to do drop-off lines and stuff, or you're like, oh, shoot,
I know
here goes my grocery bill because my kids are at home for 3 meals now. But I was at Maya's graduation Saturday morning, and she came over again last night. She's like, hey, I'm in the neighborhood. I'm going to stop by.
How long was it, by the way? You said roughly you were maxing it at an hour and
They
a half.
had 6:10. 1 hour, 21 minutes.
No way.
Listen,
oh, man.
Behringer, her principal, they were so good. It was ridiculous. Now, Westside's was sharp too. And I love Dostal, our principal, because he's super competitive. So he wanted to keep it under a certain window. They were like an hour 29.
Holy smokes.
Now, here's the thing. I don't know. It's like, hit me up. Hit Andrew up. I'm at Damon Benning. He's at
Andrew Rodgers.
Andrew Rodgers with no D. He knows nothing about giving you the D. Or you can get us. We have an email address now because Sasha didn't want our emails flooded. Is it coffee and cream at Hurrdat.com?
At Hurrdat.com. Mm-hmm.
So, or email us. Does this number sound high or low to you? So I'm reading through the program at Millard North. By the way, Baxter has to be making a killing. If they're looking for something to yield revenue out of season,
graduation and concerts.
Keep having graduations
and concerts.
$30 for flowers. It's 9 a.m. I see dudes walking around with chicken fingers and fries. I'm like, oh man. But anyway, does 7 perfect ACT scores seem high in a school
of 610
graduates?
No.
I'm going to say no.
Really?
So in my class, it was
you
80,
went to private school,
but that doesn't matter.
You're like Clarence.
You
have real good parents.
You're acting like
everybody from the 303. You went to Prairie Brook. That's a private school.
Prairie Brook. We had a graduating class of 88. I think we had 3 perfect scores. So just by sheer number, I would think that 7 doesn't seem
7
high.
perfect scores seemed high.
Then again, I didn't get a perfect score, so I was not one of them.
Didn't that seems high to me?
And it probably is. Like
I
may just be judging it too much off of my school numbers.
Judgy
McJudge, right?
Yeah. Doesn't that seem high?
It's great. I don't know if it seems high though. Like if you said double digits, I'd be like, whoa.
But anyway, hour 22. And when the students were done, they were done. They said, "Hey, right row, exit to the left." Not Scooby Doo. Right row, exit left. If you're to my left, go out the back where you came in. Holler at your boy. This one's over.
Machine. See you later,
dude. It was so quick.
Wow.
I'm like an hour 22.
Good on you. That's sweet.
Yeah. So there were 0 days sleeping in.
So when did it start again?
9
in the morning.
Yeah.
Nice.
I was told to be there at 8:15.
Nice.
So we need to have this conversation. And at some point we'll get to sports. But can you go to graduation and save 13 seats?
No.
Bro, I couldn't believe it.
Then again.
Oh, stop.
Then again, my family is the family to save seats in church around Christmas.
Okay. Are they present?
When we're saving seats?
Yes.
Well, we wouldn't have to save seats if they're present.
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking?
Get your ass there. That's my – yeah. You want to know the punchline? Get where you're supposed to be.
I'm working through this in my head. You put my mind in a pretzel.
Don't send little Molly Muffet there and say, hey, I'm holding 13 seats. And you wait till 8:55 to show up. It's not working like that.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
I'm there.
That's why
I hate saving seats.
This is a little bougie, but since you make a ton of money, you go to like Kobe or Genji or any of these places, you can't sit down until everybody's there. You're not saving seats. Is that a graduation thing? I need to know ACT. I need to know graduation. Graduation. Help me out.
Yeah, I am on you though. I'm with you when you say saving seats because I don't like it. The stress I have in church.
Deadpan straight face. She said 13. I'm saving 13. The heck you are.
I will be back.
Rodgers and Benning will be back in 5 minutes. Rodgers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rodgers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rodgers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rodgers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rodgers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rodgers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
Miami leading, 9.1 remaining. Inbound to Martin on the far side of the court, now in the front court. Drives left side at Tatum, goes underneath the rim, shoots from the right baseline, and it swishes through again with a second to go in the third.
And we're back, Coffee and Cream in the morning on Hail Varsity Radio, powered by Currency. Damon Benning, Andrew Rodgers, live from the H&H Chevrolet stage at Hail Varsity Club. DB, could you smell bonfire yesterday?
No.
So
No.
I was burning a ton of twigs and leaves and other things in my backyard after laying mulch. And Ashley went on a run, and she ran out of the neighborhood and goes, Andrew, I can smell that bonfire on the other side of the neighborhood.
Oh,
And when she said other side, she meant nearest to family fare, not nearest to you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I wonder if other people can smell this bonfire. But if you couldn't smell it,
I didn't smell a thing. I'm just
wasn't as roaring as I thought. I thought I was like really, really making a stand in my neighborhood.
Shane, is it Ollie Williams?
It's me.
Who's the It's Gonna Rain guy?
It's gonna rain.
It's gonna rain.
Ollie.
Listen, man, I need rain.
And we got a little bit of it. A little bit.
No,
minuscule.
we're
amount.
like, what are we like? Shane, you'd know this number.
We're in a
like
dry spell.
We're like 3 inches. Well, he'd know that too. We're like 3 inches under. What?
What?
We're like 3 inches under the average, right?
Thinking about Ollie again.
We need rain. Now it's overcast this morning. Now overcast.
It's supposed to rain today?
would turn me on. Raspberry Beret. Do you like Prince?
Raspberry
Yeah. So we need some rain. Anything other than that. I don't know about fires. And stop lighting things on fire when it's dry.
No, it's good. I had a hose ready. Hose handy.
Oh yeah. Okay.
No.
What happened?
Officer, I
don't know, man.
I swear the faucet was on.
This smart guy that pays attention to forecast thought it would be a good idea to do burns. Like they're parsing those out. Like you can't even do some burns.
But
right now.
I'm cool because I water my lawn. So my lawn was wet.
What color's your grass?
It was green in the area. Green enough.
Yeah.
Right. No, so we laid mulch. We did all that. I was tired. I go back inside and I turn on the TV to watch college lacrosse. And
hey, that's a thing.
I'm like,
I know you're laughing.
I go, who likes this?
Listen,
and that's more of a sin to say for me because I come from a lacrosse town,
and I'm with you on that. Like it's taken over. This was about 5-6 years ago, man. My man Nubs.
You have a man named Nubs.
Long story. Doesn't have any fingers. Doesn't have any toes. We nicknamed him Nubs. He started out playing. It's okay. It's like Asian Wyatt. They embrace it.
Okay.
So Nubs was a lacrosse guy in high school. This was like 09, 08, 09.
Okay.
And I'm like,
when Johns Hopkins was good.
I'm like, oh, that's great. Cool. Then I see a couple of lacrosse things pop up, like 14, 15. Then my nephew started playing this in California. And he's unbelievable. He may get a scholarship. Then I see all these club teams forming at the high school level.
And I'm like, bros.
And I'm like, wait a minute. Am I late to this deal?
I got to ask.
My man, Dom, like the Vincentinis, like I got a family at Westside. That's all they do is lacrosse. And they're fantastic. And he's going to school for free.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're the ones that need to get on board with lacrosse.
I'm behind.
Although, funny, 2 weeks ago, what did you, not like your Kohans, but what did you tinkle all over that it was in the top 5 plays on Sports Center?
Yeah, I did not.
You were mad at lacrosse.
I was. Because I said, and the reason and people will understand this point. Like, if you don't understand the point on lacrosse, because it's probably a me problem, but when you watch top 10 plays, how many behind the back lacrosse shots have to go in so that it's looked at as not a top 5 play anymore? Like, that's my question. Because all I ever see now are kids trying to be flashy with the stick, go behind their head, get lucky, ball goes in. That's what they practice, though. They do that in practice. They mess around like that in their backyard. So when does it become such a difficult thing?
You're such a hater.
And I am, for sure. But
are you trying to catch with a little wicket?
Okay, so
he thinks Ewoks. It's a different kind of wicket, Shane.
So
hey, I gotta ask.
And I had a lacrosse stick growing up.
Ask.
Your guy, did he have his nubs when he was playing lacrosse?
No.
Well, I'm impressed then.
Nah, Jake's a stud. He's a sorry Duke fan, but
what kind of question was that?
He does like Duke. When Carolina lost in the ACC tournament, he goes, "At least you're out of your misery." And he's way younger than
nice guy.
Like I coached him. Like he's a stud, but
yeah, I don't know. I mean, the degree of difficulty for those behind the back shots, I don't think deserve a top 10 play anymore. Everybody's doing it. Now you can make the same case. Well, what about the diving catches in baseball? Well, those are all different. Every one of those things are different. It's the same shot form every time. You get a righty spinning around the back of their head, goal. Now the play by the Kavanaugh kid in the lacrosse match yesterday was sick. How he avoided the circle and still stayed out and scored. That's deserving. It's unique. I don't know. Maybe I'm on my own island.
My man Jesse. He said that Notre Dame kid scored from the 40. Andrew.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. It's not behind the back. I'm with that. He pulled up from Curry range. I'm for it.
What sport does, and like I can talk because we were all in weird sports this week, but what sport doesn't Jesse follow? He's a huge basketball fan, so he's got to have his skirt and pom-poms on. But we alluded to this, and I hate to say because we really didn't, because people can always change their mind. But at what point did we think Kalk was staying in the NBA?
Well, when all the mock drafts
How
came
about
out,
never?
When his combine results came out, people were like, okay, now I'm
Never,
getting a
ever.
little worried,
No.
right?
So listen, but this is the guy
You
that
can exhale now, though.
that does his due diligence. He was the guy that I was referring to that I didn't call by name, that I said was actually looking at rosters of backup centers, like parsing through the 30 some odd teams in the NBA of spots that people would have open. I mean, I don't think Kalk ever had any intentions of staying in the NBA draft. I just don't. You may look at me and be like, "Yeah, man, DB."
I don't think it's a bad take at all.
Honk for McDermott.
Because I think it was. I think it's a good assessment of how he kind of goes about his business altogether, because that's what he does even when he plays.
Very calculated.
I mean, when he prepares for a matchup with another center, he will watch film till the end of the day.
Now his boy has till 10:59 tomorrow.
Yeah, he
so
does.
Let's get it cracking.
I don't even know what to think about that.
I
like his idea of being a two-way.
I say he comes back.
That would make sense to me, because if we are still projecting a second-round selection, I know some had Trey in the first round, but more times than not, this seems like a second-round pick for him. So I'd bring him back too. Side note, absolute side note. What do you think people watched more this weekend? The lacrosse natty or the Indy 500?
Oh, good question. Viewer numbers should come out today, I bet.
You asked me the same question last year.
No, I didn't.
Addict.
Giannis, no, I did not. I did not ask you
We weren't
that.
even working together last year. Shane's boy got off the schneid. Finally.
That thing wet.
Shane, how'd you feel watching?
I did watch Cars 3 last night. Does that count? I had never even watched it the whole way through.
Lightning McQueen. Is that with the new cars? Like the super cars, the futuristic cars?
Fudge, man, I don't know. I just was worried
Were they
about
like
whether
super
she was
sleek
going to
and
Dynaco or
black?
not. I think more people watched Formula One. Or the Indy. I'm sorry, not Formula One. Although lacrosse was everywhere.
Right. I don't know. Neither sport, here we go again. Neither sport interests me. So I didn't watch much of either. I watched more lacrosse though, so I would give the edge to that.
We're gonna get to the big sports here in a minute.
Let's go to the phone
Shane, do you want to
quickly.
get Jesse now? Because he's always funny. Listen. I don't know if you're ready for him. We may have to put him on the other side, or do you want to get him now, Shane?
Well, let's hang on. I mean,
Yeah,
All right, we'll start with Jesse, and then we'll go to B-Vogues after.
Listen.
That sound good, Shane?
Yeah.
Legend.
All right.
This dude can torture show.
All right, Jesse, hold through the break. And now I'll set up the show. Good time to do that. Brandon
since
Vogel.
we haven't done that yet.
Nope.
Professionals.
Wait, why haven't we done that? We were talking about sports the entire time. It just kind of it took over.
Hey, Uber driver said, "What's graduation?" That's because you're busy lifting and squatting 680 pounds, bro.
Ooh, that's a lot. Just like the amount of seats that girl tried to save for you at graduation. Now, I think the number is probably 2 to 4.
She said 13.
13. If it's just one person, you can't do that.
13.
You can't do that. There's not you don't have enough. You didn't bring enough coats to
Dude,
save 13
it's 8:12 for a 9 o'clock graduation.
Guys, we're talking to Kevin Kugler at 8 o'clock. We will be talking to Joe Lorenzi at 9. Stick around. More CNC coming your way next.
Rodgers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rodgers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rodgers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rodgers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rodgers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rodgers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
Hey, welcome back. We'll get to Brandon Vogel in just a few moments, but Shane, let's go to the phone right now and talk to Jesse. Jesse, good morning. You're on Coffee and Cream. What's up?
Hey, I heard Damon talk about Creighton.
Jesse?
He did bring up CU.
First of all, I had to Google your number. Y'all need to do a better job of it.
Google.
Oh,
I had
fudge.
to.
All right.
Yeah,
All right.
I had to look it up.
Hey, I'll ingest that.
Okay.
Constructive criticism.
Constructive criticism. What's up, Jesse?
One more piece of constructive criticism. Like, I like it when I can hear what's going on the radio.
When you're on hold?
Yeah, that Chris Angel music ain't cutting it, man.
I told you.
Hey, would you believe me, Jesse, if I said you weren't the first to say that?
Chris Angel, though.
Hey, I would totally. No, man. you start talking about Kalk and did anyone think he was going? Hell no. Like, come on. First of all, and Damon, you know my feelings on this young man. I believe he has reached his full potential as a basketball player. Someone tried to teach him a turnaround jump hook or whatever. It's just not working out. He's tall. He can dunk. If you throw him an alley-oop, he can't dunk if he's standing underneath the basket, which blows my mind. Like, just completely blows my mind. I like Freddie better. I think Fred King has a higher ceiling. I don't know if you agree with that.
What about defensively, though?
Man, I don't know. I feel like Fred could probably learn that. He probably won't be as effective as a shot blocker, but I just think for what we need in a big man, all things considered, like if Fred ended up staying until his senior year, I think at the end of the day, he'd end up being a better player.
That's a bold claim.
Hot take, Jesse.
Yeah. And then the other thing too is like, I don't like how NIL works right now, but I like that it exists for the purpose of Creighton because
they're really good at it.
Well, we saw these dudes, like you were talking about whether or not Trey can go to the NBA. You saw these dudes just rolling out, and I'm looking at them. I'm like, I've watched you every single night, and I do watch a little bit of NBA. Okay, like Tyshawn, Marcus, I've watched you guys, and I know exactly how this story ends. It ends on the bench of a G League team. Like, what are you doing? And then they just go anyway. Like, come on, just milk it out. And if we had NIL when those two were here, we would have had those two for probably 3 or 4 years. So, I don't know. I don't know what else you want from me. I do watch.
Fantastic, Jesse. We'll get to that after we get to B-Vogues.
Definitely. Let's change gears and bring in B-Vogues. Jesse, appreciate the call. Vogues on StreamYard as he is. B, is that a Boston hat? Where are we going with this, B?
It's a Boston hat, happy times. Happy times in Boston, so I just wanted to share my.
Now wait a minute, Mr. Diplomacy, easygoing, calculated. That does not ooze Boston. What is going on?
Well, I've always liked the Red Sox hat, first of all, and I did live there for like 8 years.
Yeah, for Brandon.
That as well. So the Red Sox hat is probably something that will always be in the rotation for me.
Along the lines of hats, I mean, if we just want to stay on this topic for just a short moment, I don't know if anybody caught the post game of Game 7 of the NBA Eastern Conference Finals, and you see Jimmy Butler wearing a St. Louis Browns hat. I want to get both of your thoughts. What do you think he was doing there? What do you think he was alluding to? The fact that Jason Tatum's from St. Louis.
He's trolling Tatum.
And that the Browns are an extinct franchise.
He's trolling Tatum.
Or is it the fact that, hey, Stan Kroenke moved the Rams out of St. Louis. He owns the Nuggets, and the Browns are an extinct franchise like the Rams.
I don't know.
What are we thinking here?
Jimmy's smart. I think.
What are we thinking?
I think he's trolling. Talent is useful.
Yeah, I missed it because I stopped watching that game with about 4 minutes left. But I think you nailed it with option A. And if that is the case, that is A+ trolling.
Oh, that is
an A+ troll.
It is so Jimmy Butler because he's a genius. Like, he's really like a closet genius. He's not only got super high basketball IQ, he's smart in life too. Like,
where do you find a Browns hat nowadays? I mean, I guess he has all the money in the world. He can find whatever he needs. I just don't know. I have no clue. Vogues, we appreciate having you on as we do every Tuesday. Let's start off with this because it is yearbook season, one of the greatest times of year for Hail Varsity
Did you see the
subscribers. Yes. And I want to just touch on that for a quick moment. If you want exclusive stories, if you want position breakdowns, even a 2-on-1 interview with Coach Rule, you need to get subscribed to Hail Varsity.
He said 2-on-1.
They
tag teamed them.
It is a 2-on-1.
Get them, Vogues.
Am I wrong, B-Vogues?
No, that's right. As I was kind of typing out our internal brief on everything to come, one-on-one interview is usually the sign of ultimate quality. But we had 2 people there, so we did get some time with Matt Rule. The interview went a lot of places, but what you'll read in the yearbook, really kind of hews to, I think, some of his big ideas about coaching, his philosophy. and where some of that stuff comes from. So that's I think people are going to really enjoy that. And then of course our staff kind of came together and they think about, what sort of feature story do I want to write for the yearbook, like our marquee product each year, kind of all year long. So we got a good compliment there. We got Mike Babcock on 100 years of Memorial Stadium, which he is the person to have on that assignment. So I'm excited about that. So it's as big and hopefully as good as ever. I'm really optimistic. We send it to press in about 6 days, so it's crunch time here in this office. But I'm starting to feel really good about I think the magazine that we have coming.
So, B, let me ask you something. How do you embrace the nostalgia, right? The sellout streak, the 100 years, the national championships, and establish a baseline, but understand that it seems as though outside of just knowing about it, Rule doesn't want anything to do with that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, in our Q&A, he had a moment where he shared a story about he had a friend visiting from England, a British guy who, of course, met up with Husker fans in downtown Lincoln before he was going over to talk to Coach Rule. And he asked Rule, he's like, have you ever said just thank you to the fans? He's like, this is pretty remarkable. So I think there's some of that, but Rule seems like very much the person, like, the best thank you I can give is to get this program better, to get it closer towards where everybody wants it to be. So it is a little bit of I'll take a step back and let the fan thing be the fan thing, and the results come on the field. That'll work just fine for everybody.
Now, Vogues, we're talking to Brandon Vogel, managing editor at Hail Varsity, at Brandon L. Vogel on Twitter. There was a little sneak peek quote that was released on Twitter, and it was, if your memories are bigger than your dreams, you're probably not living a life worth living. And, of course, that's Coach Rule. Not only did that further indicate the approach of day by day, right? But I think
it's on the freaking stadium.
But as we all know, things have a deeper meaning when it comes to Coach Rule speaking. And what I think it is this, acknowledge it, let it go, short thought process, whether that's on the field or through history, as we were just kind of talking about. But how important is it to remember who you are and where you came from, but also how you progress?
Yeah, that's a complicated one. And, with that quote, that Rule quote that you just mentioned, like, the first place it took me back to was some of Trev Albert's early comments about, like, hey, we can't be, hanging around here just waiting for the 90s to come back because the 90s happened. And that's always delicate at a place, like Nebraska. And I think big picture, like, winning football games isn't about, each place has its own unique challenges, but it's about the same stuff. And that's true if you're at Duke or if you're at Nebraska. Like, you gotta be detail driven, and you gotta execute, and you've got to form strong teams. If you do that, then a place like Nebraska with its history can really, I think, accelerate and amplify what you're doing if you do it that way. That's why Nebraska is still Nebraska, though the past 20 years have not been what people like. And Duke football, which is in a good spot right now, incidentally, with Elko, is still kind of Duke football.
It's funny. They still send handwritten notes to the house. I can't even believe you just mentioned Duke, because I'm like, what is going on? But anyway, you're in my head. But let me get you out of here on this. We've been talking about identity, which one to form, which one to not, which one comes to fruition first. But let me ask it to you this way. Based on the roster, could I convince you that Nebraska wants the black shirts to return before Run the Damn Ball guy is elated?
Interesting. My gut reaction would have been, well, I think we talked about this.
A little, in a different way.
Yep, my gut reaction would have been, I could see it more easily going the other way. But I think in terms of personnel, they're better off right now on the defensive side of the football. I also have kind of a weird frame of reference in looking through, like, you can be a really good defense in the Big Ten, and you finish seventh because Iowa's there and Michigan's there. Like, the top of this conference is so elite in terms of defense that I don't know. Maybe it's too much contrarian thinking in my proclivity for that. Of like, well, if you can come in, you got to play a base level of defense, obviously. But if you could come in and be really good offensively, maybe that's a way to move up the ladder a little bit. But I mean, the hire of Tony White, I think, lends some credence to what you're talking about there, Damon. It was a bold and aggressive hire.
Yeah, that's a good term.
Folks, we appreciate your time, man. Thanks so much. We'll talk again next week.
Thanks, B.
We will get into more of those Creighton thoughts and maybe some Big Ten baseball, the NFL. Kevin Kugler can talk it all next.
Rodgers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rodgers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes.
It's sunflower butter.
Rodgers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rodgers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rodgers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rodgers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
It's sunflower butter right there. You'd eat that. That's healthy.
What is that, like peanut butter?
Yeah.
No. Never had peanut butter in my life. I'll eat the jelly right there. Great jelly.
Sandwich, or you're just going to pour jelly in your mouth?
That jelly sandwich. Ate it all my life.
Jelly sandwich?
What's wrong with a jelly sandwich? Plain jelly sandwich, grape jelly on the sandwich, toast. Peanut butter is the devil.
It's not the devil at all.
I thought foosball was the devil.
Dude.
Yes, Bobby Boucher's mom.
See, you thought I was joking all week. I was laughing at those guys. Because it's hard to tell. When you have good chemistry, it's like, are they serious or are they joking? Like, it's just part of the deal. Those two.
I'm not going to lie. I've had an only grape jelly sandwich before.
I'm not eating that.
I have.
I'm not eating that.
I prefer the PB&J, but I'll admit I've had both of them singles.
Do you remember when I told you the day after when Cougs turned his back to Damon?
Yeah.
I was like, is that a stick or is that real?
Remember when I told you that I was a little scared to
break
him up
baby.
mid-inning? Well, just so you know, on Friday, I caught him in between games, and I felt that was a much better time window, and I bet Cougs would agree. Kevin Kugler, good morning. What's up?
Hello, gentlemen. How are you?
Kevin.
Hey, wouldn't you agree that bugging you between games is better than between innings?
Look, as I told you when you came in, never ever come in to speak to me, and I don't know why you did. I don't know why Damon didn't warn you away from this. It was not something that I ever want anyone to do.
He's like, this guy's
no, it was fine.
I did tell him. I said, for a guy that I really, really liked, that I would put in my fave 5, I said, he's not very nice to me, so you have to kind of play it by ear.
Talking about me or Kevin?
That is 100% accurate. Yes.
Hey, what do you like doing more during a broadcast? Calling the game itself, or the side comments between you and your partner, or the comments you see on social media?
That's totally become your thing.
Those Big Ten baseball games are they're just loose. It's I would never do that on a Fox NFL game. Like never. I turn my phone off on those games because I don't need the grief that. I mean, the London games where we were on everywhere, and it was oh my gosh, you'd have thought I was a horrible human being once I looked at those a day later. But during those games, it's just it's loose and fun. I mean, it's college baseball, and I enjoy it. I do enjoy like the Big Ten After Dark stuff because we had so many. It was the number 6 trending hashtag in the United States of America, which is ridiculous that you'd get B1G After Dark trending for a random Big Ten baseball game, which also tells you there wasn't much going on in the United States of America on Twitter that night. But it's fun. I enjoy it. The people play along, which makes it fun. If you do a bit and nobody plays along, it's not that fun. But people play along with it and send tweets and send pictures of where they are. It's kind of cool.
So I think it's interesting, and obviously I've followed you forever, right? But
and thank you for following me, Damon. I really do appreciate that.
That's kind of creepy, DB.
Well, it is what it is.
Find a new hobby.
Wait till I tell you the backstory. So I know you've been saying B1G a lot. Kind of your self-awareness while you're still able to kind of be yourself. Like you can do the brand thing and still bring your own individuality to it. Is that experience? Is that confidence because you're experienced? Is that, I know it's not because you're good, but like there has to be something that's allowed you to be comfortable in your own skin as you've gotten older.
Yeah, it's a little bit of all of it, really. I mean, it's the notion that, you get to a certain point and you've got to be comfortable with it. You've got to be confident enough in the people you work for to be able to show your personality some, so that they're not going to, when you first start doing this, especially at a national level, you're just making sure you don't say anything that's going to get you in trouble with your bosses or anybody else. And so like your first year or two of doing it, you're not really showing that personality, especially my personality, because as you know, it's sometimes off-putting. So I don't really want to get fired right away. So I go out of my way at the time, at the beginning to kind of hide it, but eventually it's going to come out. I mean, I did 12 years of this every single day, and eventually the fact that I'm kind of an idiot is going to show up on the air. So, but you know what? The fact that I'm with Big Ten and I've been with them for a long time, and they know me and they know my personality and they enjoy it. I'm not going to do anything that's going to get anybody in trouble. I just like to have fun with it. And, if you're having fun on a broadcast, then I think people actually will want to enjoy that broadcast with you. If you sound like you're pulling teeth, people are going to be like, why am I spending any time on this? But if it sounds like it's a fun evening, people who watch games are going to be like, oh, I kind of want to watch this. These guys sound like they're having fun. These guys are goofy. Oh, they want participation. I'm going to participate in this. It's probably something we should do more, to be honest, because it does encourage participation and it encourages people sticking around on the broadcast. If you feel like you're going to have something silly happen, maybe you're going to stick around more than if it's just some guy going ball one, ball two, 2 and 1, 2 and 2. Maybe not. I've found that to be the case with those games, that people enjoy participating in those.
I think it helps too that you had a 9-year-old picking up the bats. What was it like having Austin Bolt mic'd up for that one game? And did you take any notes for yourself for the future?
He was. I will say this: what surprised me more is that Will allowed it. That's what surprised me.
Yeah, Mr. All Business, right?
Yeah, it isn't like Will is not doing B1G after dark. That isn't happening with Will Bolt. So you don't have to ever worry about Will going, you know what, let's get jokey and wacky. The closest he got was in a BTN broadcast earlier this year where I mentioned Lizzie had grown a mustache and he said he was glad he couldn't see it. That's as close as it gets to jokey. And I like Will a lot. I think Will's a great dude. But I was really surprised in the middle of that game that he's like, sure, mic up my son. It was cool though. It was a unique thing. Sue Marriott, our coordinating producer, is the one who came up with the idea of
another fantastic
kind of
person.
A lot the night before. Yes, another fantastic person, and she had come up with the idea to mic him up, and we did the little state of success Austin Bolt graphic where he's 9 years old, he's in third grade. It was just it's a long week for our crew. It's a long week of games. It's a long week of stuff, and there's always some sort of ridiculous delay. So I think it's the approach for everybody is just let's just find different ways to have some fun with it and see if we can't play while we're playing a game.
You've owned the College World Series with Westwood One forever, and you now get to pick and choose what assignments you want to have. So I know you know the lay of the land of college baseball. Shock, chagrin, dismayed, or it's the Big Ten. Maryland gets the 2 with Wake.
Yeah, they got a hose.
Or Iowa going to Terre Haute with Carolina, who's playing well. I know if you don't follow baseball, you may say, oh, that's a winnable region. But Indiana State's legit.
Yeah,
and
they are.
Carolina is playing well at the right time. Would you rather be Maryland or Iowa?
See, here's my concern. Maryland pitched exceptionally well in the Big Ten tournament, better than I thought they were going to pitch. But I don't know that they can do that against a team like Wake. And the problem you have with Wake is Wake has 3 A starters, 3 number ones in their starting rotation. So what's Maryland do? Maryland hits the cover off the ball. But you're not going to hit the cover off the ball, most likely, against these 3 guys. And they didn't hit the cover off the ball in Omaha against lesser pitching. So that worries me for them. I think they got hosed on that. I think that's just look, the Big Ten was the 6th best conference in college baseball this year by the RPI. And obviously the committee relied significantly on the RPI in making their choices. And they said as much. They said this is, we really leaned on the RPI. Well, if you leaned on the RPI, Maryland is not in that region because the champion of the 6th best conference doesn't go play the number 1 overall seed. You do eventually, you hope, but I thought they got hosed. I think that's a tougher draw than Iowa because Iowa is going to go to a place in Indiana State. Indiana State is in completely brand new territory. They've never been in this spot before where they're hosting. They're a top 16 national seed. This is all new to them. North Carolina, I like coming out of that, to be honest with you. I just think North Carolina's playing really good baseball right now.
Kind of with you on that.
Yeah, and again, they're tested every single week, and they figured it out as the season went along. I don't know that I have them coming to Omaha, but I do like them. If you told me North Carolina came out of that, I would not be the least bit surprised. I think Iowa's got it tough. I think Maryland has it a whole lot tougher. And I will say this about Maryland, their top three in the lineup are as good as any top three in college baseball. Like, I would put those three guys, Schliger, Shaw, LaRusso, up against anybody's top three from an offensive standpoint. And I still think it's going to be an almost impossible task for them.
Cougs, Indiana also has a tough draw. You know, there's a lot of other teams that got, you know, we talk about like, oh man, you got screwed. But is there ever a point to where you're like, well, even if I would have put, you know, Tennessee with somebody else and not with
Tennessee,
Clemson,
not with Clemson,
like wouldn't that one seed get screwed too?
I suppose I see what you're saying, Andrew. I suppose that's the case. I just, you know, you look at it from the lens of where you're working from, and you're working this week. We're in the Big Ten, so you're immersed in Big Ten culture, and you look at that and you say, well, you know, they deserve this or they deserve that. Of the three that got in, I mean, I'm less sold on Indiana's chances to advance past the first weekend than either of the other teams. I think Indiana's a good team. I don't know that Indiana's a team that's going to be great on this stage. And that's not a slight against Indiana. But yeah, I see what you're saying. And yes, the one seed could be getting hosed in this. I don't think the one seed Wake Forest is getting hosed with Maryland. I think it's a tough game, perhaps, if Maryland can hit. But I don't believe that Wake's pitching is going to have a whole lot of trouble with that regional. I just think there's a reason Wake has been the number one seed essentially for 2 months now. I mean, they've been steady, and it's because of that pitching.
Obviously, I've stalked you for years as you've helped me with my career. I remember you've done a couple of great interviews with Mike Martin Sr. When Florida State was kind of at their deal, it was like two guys just having these great conversations. Then they go to Mike Martin Jr. Then I think you and I both kind of like Link Jarrett. And we're like, oh, okay, wow. Shouldn't have maybe done the junior thing with Mike Martin. They've got something with Link Jarrett. Then they suffer their first losing season, and it's like, where are you with all your history and nostalgia with Florida State baseball, where you kind of scratch your head and you go, what is going on with the Seminoles?
This is going to sound weird because if you'd have said in the 90s to me, Nebraska's never going to fall apart, are they? No, of course not. They're 60-3 in this 5-year span. It's hard for me to see a scenario in which they're not good. You know, it's weird for me because there's no reason they shouldn't be. They have rich history. They haven't, nothing has changed in the landscape that would indicate that they should fall apart. Nothing, it's not like, recruiting rules changed. Prop 48 went away and all of a sudden they can't, there's more games on TV. Nothing's changed in the landscape. There's not a sea change. They're still in the conference. They're still in Florida. They still can play from January on. It's mind-boggling to me how you get to a point where that program's not good. There's no disadvantage that they have. They have a lot of advantages. They have a fan base that cares. They have investment in the program. They have access to the best players. They have history and tradition. They have relevant major leaguers right now. So it's just, I don't know. That one is one of those. It's one of those programs that I thought was immune to a lot of stuff. There are certain programs that you look at and say, that program's immune to some of the changes that occur to it. If you look right now, you'd say Alabama and Georgia are more or less immune in football. Maybe they'll have a down year, but they're not going to fall apart. Like if Alabama rolled out this year and was 5-7, that would be cataclysmic. I mean, it'd just be apocalyptic. No one would have any idea what has happened here. How has this happenstance been? to me, it's kind of the same thing with Florida State. Not that they were as dominant as Alabama or Georgia, but they are a team that every single year you start the season and go, not where they will be seeded, but how high will that seed number go, and will they be a top 16? Will they be a top 8? To not be at anything is surprising to me.
Kevin, I'm beside myself because UC Irvine is excluded from this bracket. They were 8-1 in the Pac-12. Arizona was 12-18 in the Pac-12. Let me say that again. UC Irvine was 8-1 in a conference that they don't even belong in.
No,
and Arizona only had 4 more wins than them, and they get in. How the heck is UC Irvine not in this field?
Well, there's an anteater bias, that's clear, and there is a bias against there was a bias against the West, and that really was pretty clear. And,
I agree.
They didn't. I don't know that the committee spent a lot of time. Maybe they don't stay up late. Maybe I don't know, but it was clear they had not spent a lot of time paying attention to West Coast baseball this year. And some of the teams you could argue that didn't get in, like Arizona State, okay, fine. But there are others like UC Irvine that you have to look at and say, how did these teams not get in? And clearly it's just, in part, they didn't watch them enough. They didn't see them. They didn't pay any attention to them. It's not as easy to see them. And this is an area in which television hurts because so many SEC games are on. So many ACC games are on. Heck, it's not hard to find Big Ten games. I mean, the leagues that have television coverage got coverage more in the tournament because I really do believe they were seen more. The Pac-12 gets hurt a lot by the lack of eyes on its product, and the West Coast then gets hurt by lack of eyes on its product. The Big West and all these areas out there that don't have significant television coverage, I think they got hurt a lot this year.
This is kind of topical. I'm just taking advantage of that you do 1,000 different sports as the play-by-play voice of the world. But you were there through COVID. You know what it's like to be older, mature, whatever. So you got college.
Like the fifth reference in this conversation of me being old. Is basically
no? We're within.
Rip me? What is
no. We're within 2 years. I would never do that. So, but like right? You talk to these coaches, and so we've seen COVID with baseball. Coach Bolt said it 15 times. They're an older team. This team's older, and they're more mature, and we got to work out the numbers. And we've seen it with basketball. We saw older, more mature teams. We know what happens with football, like an older, more mature team. When you look at the pandemic and that stretch and you're knocking out games in your basement, doing your thing, what sport do you think was the most impacted by scholarship distribution and getting old in the sport? And you can look no further than Wake Forest, who's super old as a 1 seed in the College World Series. Like, where has COVID had its biggest impact of the college sports?
It's what I would say, it's the sports that are not sending people early to the professional ranks. In other words,
I like that.
In football, you could leave, like you had another year or two, but guys weren't playing their 6th or 7th year in football. The physical risk alone was such that if you had any chance to play at the next level, whatever that next level may be, you left. Or you were just like, I don't want to get beat up another year for a.
You don't want to be too old.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to be too old. Football, you don't necessarily want to be too old, especially if you're a lineman.
Yeah,
I mean, your knees and joints hurt like crazy after 4 or 5 years. Are you like, let's sign up for 2 more? Maybe you're not. Basketball the same way. Anybody who had ability was like, I'm out. I'm going to play overseas. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that, whatever. Baseball is one of those sports where, you know what, I'll take the extra time to play. The non-revenue sports where you're not necessarily, do I want to go be a 37th round pick and ride on a bus through Helena, Montana? Or do I want to play another year in college and see if I can improve my stock? Maybe that's what I want to do. And I think that's where you see the non-revenue sports, I think, get impacted greater by that because guys are more willing to stay and participate longer in the sport than somebody who can have a professional option somewhere else. So maybe it's not necessarily the distribution at the top of the roster, but all the way through the roster. The best guys are going to leave regardless. But in a lot of instances, you have so much depth that has time to develop. That's what you saw at Wake Forest. You had guys who just had the chance to develop, get better, get older. I mean, look, in a lot of ways, and it's not complete roster top to bottom, but in a lot of ways, that's like a young minor league team. I mean, it's some older dudes who could be playing professional ball, but are playing for Wake right now. You see that on and off throughout the world of college baseball. And I would assume, and I haven't studied rosters outside of college baseball, but I would assume that's the case in other non-revenue sports as well. Like you have an opportunity where I want to stick around. There's NIL money involved. There's the chance to be in college. I mean, look, if you don't have to go to the real world, why would you when you could be an athlete?
Yeah,
that's totally why. That's totally why I think Trey Alexander
still think
comes
about
back.
that. I still think about why am I in the real world and not a student? Like, why?
Exactly.
What
I
are we
mean,
doing, guys?
clearly, I'm too old for that for Damon Benning. But if I could, I'd be all over it.
Dude, you're an empty nester, and your wife's a Carolina fan. You have the best world. It doesn't get any better for you.
Damon, they're all home now. They're all back.
Oh, it is
home.
summer. It is summer.
The nest is full. The nest is full again, and they're all back home, and they're coming in at all hours of the night, and I'm not sleeping, and it's not easy.
All of a sudden, the fridge is empty.
I was in a very good spot for a while there, and then all of them just show up again. It's like, oh, you're here. All right, great. Oh, sure, we'll get more soda. That's what we need. More. There's never any in the house. I got 19 12-packs of stuff sitting around.
Probably at family fair, huh? or Fairway, taking advantage of the deals.
I have two girls like you, but I have two boys to kind of
balance you out.
Balance my mind. I don't know how you do it.
It's like Shane moved in. All of a sudden I got to get soda everywhere I go. I mean, sometimes I wake up in a cold sweat, fearing Shane has moved in, and that's been my worst fear for 20 years. Like, oh, what if Shane moves in?
Well, are they cheap too?
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, I'm telling you, and you're going to find this out. You're going to find this out very soon, young Damon.
Yes.
When they come back, they've been on their own for a while. They've got new notions.
Expectations.
They've got new notions as to how the world should be and what things are and what their curfews are and all this other stuff. Yeah, it doesn't really involve you at that point.
Go get a hotel. Do what you want to do. You're under my roof.
Look, I'm not putting them in a hotel, and I'm not leaving my house. So
they follow the rules, right?
Exactly. You don't have a lot of options. Well, I mean, I like to think they don't have a lot of options, and they kind of just look at me and go, "Oh, yeah, okay, bye." And then and then my wife leaves the ringer on her phone, and at 1 o'clock in the morning, the phone rings when it's some spam call, and I wake up going, "Oh, the girls are in trouble." And it's calling for insurance.
Oh, Kevin, only because I know Michelle and she's fantastic. Like I said, she at least likes Carolina.
You think I'm kidding? About
No,
the
I
ringer.
don't. I don't. I think you're dead dog serious, and you're just playing to your strengths because you're smart.
Man. Kevin, we appreciate you, man. Take care.
Thank you, guys. Have a good rest of the show.
Thanks, Kevin.
We'll be back.
He's unreal.
Rodgers and Benning will be back in 5 minutes. Rodgers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rodgers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rodgers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rodgers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rodgers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rodgers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
Miami's got the ball with 10 seconds left. The clock is winding down. The Miami Heat's improbable postseason run continues. After blowing a 3-0 series lead, the Heat stop the Celtics in Boston and make history themselves. They become just the second 8th seed ever to make the NBA Finals.
Currently, I'm drinking my coffee, courtesy of The Beanery. The only place to get your coffee in the morning. Go check out The Beanery. They are our best friends, and, I can almost guarantee they know my first name by now, because the last time I was there, the lovely worker goes,
Lovely.
You guys are always so nice. And I'm like, oh, that was very sweet of you to say. And she's like, here's some free samples. because we really like when you guys show up, Ashley and I driving in the car.
Mary Kate and Ashley.
And I'm like, no, the reason we're so nice is because we feel your energy. We give it right back.
I feel your
Real nice people over at the
energy.
Beanery. Go check them out. You can get smoothies if you're DB, or you can get coffee like me. They also have these new drinks. I can't remember what they're called, but they have Red Bull in them. It's like Red Bull and
No.
Is it Red Bull and tea?
No Red Bull for your boy.
I'm telling you, it's fire. Or if you want to mix a little whiskey in your coffee, you can check out Omaha Whiskey Fest.
Tennessee whiskey.
Tennessee.
Smooth. Tennessee whiskey.
Do you think that's on repeat as Omaha Whiskey Fest is going October 7th?
I don't know.
Over at the
Probably.
Hilton. It's a 4-hour event. You can get access to 350 samples over 65 brands. You have a
That was my
box
guy
lunch
from
choice.
Brickway. I liked him.
Yeah.
He was pretty cool.
Here's what's really cool too. There's a cigar lounge. You have access to a cigar lounge. So you get some whiskey, cigar.
Do you have a clipper? Like
you guys
a
going?
cutter?
Mhm.
One that you don't use for fingers like they did in Man on Fire.
Yeah, no, I'm not in a scary movie or anything. It's not Saw. Hey, put your finger in here or else I'm going to tell the world
He
that you're a dirty
duct
cop.
taped his hands to the steering wheel.
Yeah.
Denzel was a man. Mike and I watched a little bit of He Got Game yesterday, and then I had to like fast forward through some parts. Can't
Just-
watch everything, Breeze.
Can't do the gore. Can't do
No.
the gore.
But again, when you have 4 days off and you only
Yeah.
put 27 miles on your vehicle,
Yeah, you're at home for a
We're
long time.
bonding.
You're trying. You're trying.
we're hitting balls in the backyard. We're smoking cod.
That's awesome.
Dude, I got to show it to you.
That's awesome. Are you guys yard gamers at all?
No, because I don't like my grass messed up.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
We did like I got him a squirt gun and I got Zoe a squirt gun and
They were having fun in the backyard.
yeah. It was way
Well, Zoe
cool.
likes to shoot the dogs.
Well,
more
she
than
was
she likes to
yeah,
shoot
that's her thing.
her
but
family.
so they were gone a lot. Like they went out to the lake and did whatever, and so it was me and Breeze and
That's cool.
And we watched a lot of he put me deep on like basketball in high school, and we watched Caleb online because he's in California. And Maya brought a couple of
Which
her
happy
friends.
belated birthday to Caleb.
Thank you. Maya brought a couple of her friends over, and Skylar Williams was with them, and another guy and her friend Kata Presti that she plays basketball with. So they came over last night. I just talked to them in the kitchen. I'm a Big Sky guy, like big, not the conference Big Sky, but obviously his uncle's at Creighton, and so that's like a couple of coaches I know at Creighton because one of their female basketball assistants with Coach Flan, her daughter goes to Zoe's school, so I know her, and I know Sky's uncle.
All those connections.
And it was quiet, man. 27 miles on a car in 4 days. It's pretty good.
It's pretty insane, is what that is.
Hey,
because
look.
I think I spent it was probably 27 miles in one day for me.
Yeah, low maintenance, man. And so he and I, he wanted fish. He wanted some sort of fish tacos the other day. So
Sounds so good.
it was unbelievable. And I'm not. Listen, I'm good at a lot of things, but being a fish connoisseur isn't one. So we went through a lot. I was like, well, I got shrimp at home. I won't have to go to the store and pay for it, this, that, and the other. He's like, oh, it could be any kind of fish, whatever. He's like, God, whatever. And so I looked at cod, and I think we have some. And I said, hey, my buddy vacuum sealed some redfish that he sent from Lake Pontchartrain in Louisiana. I said we could do that, and so we did the cod thing, and man, it was so good.
I just have to buy a smoker. I keep telling Ashley, I'm like, we need a bathroom fan in the master, or I could get a smoker. I'm
the smoker.
Oh,
The bathroom fan is kind of overrated.
Really?
Yeah, I think
all of that heat goes right up into the attic, and I just don't want it to cause mold.
I don't take hot. I mean, it's different for everybody, but like that's not a thing for me, right? I would go with the smoker.
Well, yeah.
No, I'm just saying. I'm unselfish. Like I like to be feasible, but I would go with the smoker.
Yeah. See, I'm trying to balance the two, and I can't go cheap on a smoker, and that's the thing that I keep resting with because I'm like, I could get one for about $400, but is that $400 smoker just like your little kettle grill, is it going to feel and act like a $400 smoker versus if I get one that's a little higher in price?
Yeah.
So I'm just having that internal battle. Now, during the break, DB's walking out the door and goes, "Hey, when are we going to start talking about the playoffs?" Florida,
I mean, just
Vegas,
just improbable.
Boston, Heat.
Right? You like just say this out loud. Like who has futures for Vegas and Florida and Miami and Denver?
I saw one person had a future on Miami. He had two different bets.
That's fine.
To win over like 140 grand.
Okay. How many finals is this for the Heat in their franchise history?
Well, I don't know. I'm going to say 7.
On the dot. 7 finals in the Heat's history. The Heat are not.
And it makes sense when it's Bosh, LeBron, and Wade. Those make sense to go to the finals. The other ones, not so much.
I saw a stat the other day. Pat Riley has played, coached, or been in the front office of 24.7% of the NBA Finals ever played. Played, coached, or been in the front office.
For a quarter of them.
That's some Tom Brady kind of numbers for football. For Super Bowl.
That's insane.
It's unbelievable.
That is absolutely nuts.
Unbelievable.
But what's
unbelievable?
What's even more nuts?
I mean, it's unbelievable.
What's
Shane.
even more nuts is
I'm glad you got the plates on your car too over there. Numb nuts. Believable.
On the NHL side.
Is your mom cool with me saying numb nuts?
Sure.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Because she doesn't cuss. Barry does. You do.
I feel like sometimes she probably under her breath calls me numb nuts.
I just can't see her cussing. My mom would.
She
never.
doesn't. No.
Yeah.
She doesn't.
My mom wouldn't either.
No.
I still want to know what she made.
She will call me a sailor.
I
that's
prefer
for darn
cashews,
sure.
not nuts.
In your mouth. Shane, how was the blinded by the light?
That too.
Collide. It's a song. You and I.
That live radio.
Shane, how was West Des Moines this weekend? I was just there.
He does that.
How was that, buddy?
Up the wall.
You know, what I was singing the entire time there?
My buddy Nico said,
"This is for the bourbons and the Cadillacs."
Stop! Hey, my buddy Nico said, "Smoke over fart fan every day."
Well, it's not for the farts. It's not for the farts. It is definitely to keep the hot air out of my attic. Because they have a window in the bathroom, and I guess that's how they planned on you using the like if you needed to actually use the bathroom or use the shower, you just open the window.
I would go with the
But
smoker.
what happens in the wintertime? Like,
Dude.
do you realize we're in Omaha?
Bring it up the street. You live 60 seconds from me. I'll smoke it.
Say less. Say less. Shane, the trip. How was it?
It was good. I mean,
Is she in? She's in West Des Moines, right?
yeah, my mom's in West Des Moines. I went up and saw my mom for a couple days. Got to see my sister, brother-in-law. Got to see an aunt and uncle that I hadn't seen for a couple, 2-3 years. So, and then I saw my dad.
A couple of how many?
A couple, 2-3 years.
So is that like 6 years if it's a couple of 2-3 years?
Yeah,
Not
couple,
2 times 3.
Oh.
It's Shane jargon.
And saw my dad all day yesterday. So, I mean, it was good. It's a good weekend.
How's he doing?
He's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they know you got a new car?
My mom and stuff. Yeah, they all knew. I mean, they saw it when they were down. They were down here like a month ago. So,
okay.
Are you happy? Are you happy with your dad's facility?
Oh yeah.
Good for you. Because we moved my dad twice. That's good. That's cool, man. Did he come out and see your car?
No.
That would have been awesome. Because I know he'd have been schooling you.
Would you have shown him the Easter eggs?
Oh yeah, definitely. He'd been like, "What in the hell are you talking about?"
That's the same thing normal people say. So I'm with Dad.
I vibe with that.
Can I ask one more question before we go to break and actually talk playoffs?
Yep. Playoffs.
What'd you use the bag of ice for in the
Sometimes
picture?
I like to have my pop on the rocks. I mean, pop rocks is good.
2 different things.
Like the
Is it?
candy?
It's 2
You don't
different
have
things.
you don't have an ice maker?
No, I don't have an ice maker. I have a fridge from like the 70s. Come on.
Okay, we'll be back.
Rodgers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rodgers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rodgers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rodgers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rodgers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rodgers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
9:44 left in the second. Knights win a defensive zone faceoff. Haig rings it around. Barbashev breaks in, joined by Marchessault. Tucks it to him. Shooting. He scores. Jonathan Marchessault. Backhand goal. A 2-on-1 set up by Barbashev. 4-0 Golden Knights.
And we're back. Coffee and Cream in the morning on Hail Varsity Radio, powered by Currency. Damon Benning, Andrew Rodgers, 888-638-4876. If you'd like to get involved at any point, we are on 590 here in town, ESPN Radio, live on Twitter, live on YouTube, KFOR, in about 15 minutes over in Lincoln. But we're happy to have you with us for this ride. What a ride it was for the Boston Celtics, making it a an actual series after going down 3-0. And then all of a sudden they just fall flat on their face in game 7.
So did you know you were going to start with that, or that's what you like? Were you like, oh, cool, they made it a series? Because you should have just took your ass home. If that's but that's me though.
Well,
so it's just different.
We also both talked about last week, and I thought it was going to bite.
Yeah,
us
they
in the
didn't
butt
want to be there.
That, hey, they're going to win one game. Actually, I said 2, and then they'd lose to the Heat in Miami if they were going to do anything. But I was more on the side of you when you had said, yeah, they just want to go home. They don't want to play. They just want to go home. Well, we were wrong for about 3 games, and I'm
Kinda.
like, okay, we're going to go back and talk about how the Celtics just won 4 in a row and they're in the NBA Finals.
14 from Tatum, 8 turnovers from
How about Missoula talking?
What if,
or lack thereof, talking? Whether it
can't
was
keep his
during
job.
or after the game.
He can't keep his
during
job.
the game. Hey, coach,
He can't.
how much has Tatum's injury affected the game plan and his play? He has to work through it.
Yep.
How do you guys going to come back from this down X amount of points? They're going to have to do it. Hey, great knowledge. Is that what you're talking about in the huddle too? Like, are you really addressing your team short and sweet like that? Because they're getting nothing from you standing on the sidelines.
What if they
absolutely nothing?
What if they actually really wanted to play and we're just not giving Miami enough credit?
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. Like,
I was being kind of joking on
no,
that as a Boston
I
fan.
think we do need to give Miami a ton
little
of
bit
credit,
of credit,
man. They smacked Boston in the mouth, pillar to post. And Jimmy Butler said all he needed to say in the press conferences leading up to that. This dude was unflappable. And his personality, not his talent, reigns supreme. If you're Jaylen Brown, stop turning the goddamn ball over.
And that's what he
If
loves
you're Jason
to
Tatum,
do.
like, what's wrong with your degree of difficulty? Do you want to take tougher shots?
And let's not die on the hill of, Tatum was injured.
Yeah,
Because
stop.
you're looking at a Miami Heat team that had one guy, another guy that was cut from
Caleb
his
Martin
team.
played 45 minutes. He went 11 of 16.
He was cut
I don't
from
want
his
to care.
team.
I don't care about Tatum being
He
injured.
played an extra year at Nevada, and Tyler Hero is on the bench all series.
Dude, with the worst game wardrobe ever of anybody that has been hurt for that long a time, the only person that has worse pregame or like
clothing
and I try not to
options,
judge other
choices.
grown-ups, but man, it's Hero and James Harden. That's it. Maybe Ben Simmons when he wants to wear his red shades and act like he likes playing basketball, but he
Well,
really
they act
doesn't.
like celebrities on the bench, right?
Well,
They
it's
dress
like
up for the
it's
game.
not about
and,
you.
And
Go
they
sit
are
your ass down
celebrities, but
somewhere and root your team on, and feel free
just for the warm up.
as a quasi grown up or pseudo. Is it quasi or pseudo? I always blow those two.
I know there's a guy named Quasimodo.
No, but yeah, so feel free to put that team on your back and put your hat on straight. Right? Yeah, feel free to put your crooked back.
Maybe it'll snap back
Can
into
I say
place.
crooked back with Quasimodo, or is that politically incorrect?
No, you got it.
Like,
You're
I
just
mean,
describing how he looks.
It's a bad, just blow the whole thing up. I've said this though. And
Well, drop the bomb.
I almost had to eat
The
my
Miami
words.
Heat blew it up.
I almost had to eat my words. You can't run it back with the Celtics. Stop. Somebody's got to go.
Well, I'll tell you what. It's who we started with.
Tatum
Coach has got to
or
go
Jalen?
first.
Oh, yeah.
Coach has got to
so
go first.
the guy's going to be in the Eastern Conference Finals and not get the job.
Mhm.
He ain't getting the job.
I mean,
It's just not.
Well, it's the best locker room I've ever had. Bro, you did not have control over that locker room.
Dude, Malcolm Brogdon, a reserve of a reserve, told you that your culture got away from you as the season went along. You stopped defending. You let Miami look like Showtime Lakers in the early 80s.
There's no failure in sports.
No, there's absolutely failure. You got drubbed by 20 at the house in Game 7.
Yes, they did.
That's almost as bad as losing 6-0.
That was ridiculous.
So Dallas is worse. Boston is bad.
But at least Dallas didn't take it to a Game 7 and just completely fall.
So
on
I
their
don't get
fall
into
flat on
that,
their
but I
face.
understand why you're
because
saying that.
when I watched the Knights play, majority of those games, if they weren't close, they were blowouts. The Knights won by 2 or 3 goals, right? And then the games that they lost, one was in OT. I get it. Dallas was in a good OT team, but they ended up grabbing at least one.
Boston was in a no-win situation from the get-go because it was Game 7. They were down all those games, and the narrative would be 100% different. They would probably be the favorite to win the championship if they would have won last night. The narrative would have been 100% different. I mean, I know that's easy to say, but I mean, think about it. That is so true.
Yeah, well, and going back to hockey, you talk about Boston and their inability to defend. That was Dallas. Because if you watch the Knights last night, they're going to be a tough team to stop. Like I know Florida's a very good offensive team, but the Knights and the way that they defended their own net, they took away the slot. You could not find room in their little boxing one that they were running with their goaltender being the one. They had 4 guys pinching in. Anytime that puck got close, there was no chance of a rebound. Yet on the other end, they just took advantage of the lack of defense Dallas was putting out there on the ice. Ottinger was hung out to dry.
But we kind of got into that, like when they lost 3-2 and Ben got suspended and they turned it over with the bad line change. They hung him out to dry all series.
Yeah.
But Drew down.
Yeah.
We talked about their lack of offensive prowess forever.
Yeah.
When you and Adam were kind of poo-pooing my Dallas thought, and you guys got me off it, full disclosure. You're like, oh, can they score enough? Oh, their offense. And so I was like, eh.
Well, Jason
right,
Robertson
I'm gonna
went mute.
I'm going to leave Dallas alone.
Rupe
right?
Hintz went mute.
Yeah, but the field reigns supreme.
Yeah, they did.
When it comes to the Big
did.
Five.
Yep.
The field.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You know
Kevin
what,
Allen agreed with me.
You know what
4 weeks ago.
the best thing about this is?
Didn't see
No,
Florida coming.
that the Celtics still suck.
Here's the very best thing about
What?
this, and
It's
it
not
all
true.
started with the NCAA tournament. You had all those lower ranked teams getting high up there, making it farther than the.
Well, that's
the
how it
first-
always works.
But
at least in recent years.
It's trending towards that, and obviously in the NHL, because you got the lower ranked teams up there, because all the big teams are out. Look at the NBA. Maybe it'll be this way for the NFL too. So maybe my Raiders have a chance. That's all I'm looking forward to, because maybe it's just a trend right now in sports. I'm just throwing it out there.
Who do you think should be more embarrassed with their feet? I'm going to go off of Boston here, off of Dallas here. The Hurricanes or the Lakers? Probably the Hurricanes, right? Because of the season they had.
Yeah,
versus the
and I
Lakers.
think early on now, so there were doubters for 2 different reasons. The Hurricanes, they were the consummate yeah but team, right? Yeah, but even though they were very good analytically, but there was something about them you didn't love. So you're disappointed, even though they were playing so well and laid an egg. I just think star power typically reigns supreme, except for that's not what this finals indicates.
Right.
With the Lakers, you were kind of happy to be there, even though they had LeBron.
We're about to say something else.
LeBron James, even though they had LeBron, but you didn't expect them to be in the Western Conference Finals. So you
Right.
felt like, okay, we're ahead of schedule. But if in terms of disappointment, the way that it went, man, I think you're more disappointed if you're the Hurricanes. The Lakers lost to a better team.
Much better team.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure the Hurricanes did.
Yeah.
Especially the way that they were playing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Denver's for real.
Yeah, Denver is unreal.
Yeah, we need to go back to how I said the Phoenix
This
Denver
series
series
could go
was
in
the
5.
West.
This series
I'm just afraid.
max out at 6.
Now they do own the Heat in their home and aways over the last 4 or 5 years when they cross over. They do own the Heat because Jokic doesn't have anybody that can guard him. Adebayo's too small. Nobody else can really guard him. Jokic feast or famine against the Heat. I think they're 6-0 in their last 6. Don't quote me. Google. I'm still mad at my mom fawning over Kugler.
You mad?
Is he that
Out of nowhere.
Is he
That's
that
just way out of left
because
field.
is he that funny, Mom? Like, really? Is he that funny?
It was a great segment. If you missed it, go back and listen to the 8 o'clock segment of today's show.
I just love Kevin. He's so funny.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
What she really wants to say, but she doesn't want to make me feel bad. Yeah, he really helped you with your career. I'm glad he can still tell jokes. And I keep my ringer on too. Nobody wants rules when they come home. You were the same way, Damon. Listen, if Pop said come home at 1, I'm coming home at 1. But first of all, I'm not staying at home either.
Also a fair point.
Yeah, I ain't staying there.
I'm staying over at Brad's.
I'm not. Oh, I'm not telling you.
One or the other.
That's how it goes.
It's a life of being a kid.
Yeah, tough being Kevin Kugler.
Yeah, tough being the Boston Celtics.
Or the Dallas Stars.
We're talking to Joe Lorenzi next.
Rodgers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rodgers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rodgers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rodgers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rodgers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rodgers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
Brandon driving left of the lane. Goes to the left hand for a layup, and he missed it. And it's rebounded by Lowry of the Heat. Still a 2-point lead for Miami. A three from Martin right side. Got it. And the lead is back to 5 with 1:30 to go.
You've got to identify shooters. Great job by Martin to sprint wide into three-point territory.
Hey, welcome back. Coffee and Cream in the morning on Hail Varsity Radio, powered by Currency. Damon Benning, Andrew Rodgers. Hey, our guy Thomas, our good friend Thomas of the show, on YouTube says
TK, like Cooch?
Quasi basically means half done, while pseudo means fake.
Yeah, so I wanted pseudo.
Because you're a pseudo radio host?
Yes.
Same with me.
Yes, yes.
We don't belong here.
So we need to like, hey, so can we bookmark that or should I commit that to memory? That's probably Kuchera, right?
It is. Oh, yeah.
That dude.
He'll just keep reminding us.
Hey, listen, I'm telling you, man.
That's a friend right there.
Yeah.
I like got your back type of guy.
I don't know what he likes to do, but I'm kind of a nerd. So if it's nothing, that's cool. But like if he just wants to like teach and like have school and learn things and go over important Jeopardy details, tell TK I'm his guy.
Hey, we're just waiting on Joel to stop by. And you know what kind of ticks me off?
Everything usually.
Well, sometimes. But
you talk about a 64 not recognizing
RPI. Yeah, exactly.
Well, until you come up with a better version.
How the hell is Campbell not hosting? Like that's what
you've been sitting on that.
That's one thing that pisses
How's
me off.
Maryland a 2 seed?
If we're really going to base it off RPI, Campbell is a better RPI than Auburn. Like, is the real reason is what versus what?
Did A&M seem like a 2 to you with their late run?
And that's fine. Like, it's fine.
Don't look. How many games has A&M lost?
24.
5. They're a 2 seed.
Yeah, unbelievable. Sometimes, unbelievable. The second thing that really,
but because Indiana State played 23 road games, the only team to play 23 true road games.
Hey, Indiana State was a team Mike Rooney said, watch out for.
I know, because
then they became a 1 seed.
He felt like they could pick it.
Right. Another thing that ticks me off, did you see what's happening in the Lexington Regional at all?
No, but did you see what's happening in Stillwater?
Oh, yeah.
Well, you got Kentucky, Ball State, West Virginia, and Indiana.
Okay.
That's the Lexington Regional.
There's a country music festival in town, in Lexington, which means there are no hotel rooms within an hour driving distance of campus.
Yeah, I did not know that.
West Virginia, Indiana, and Ball State will be staying where, DB? In dorm rooms. UK dorm rooms.
That's okay.
Look, it's not the end of the world, right?
And I'm sure.
But you know what it is? Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, but guess what?
Absolutely ridiculous.
So quiet as kept. Like if we're being 100% honest, I bet you when people come to the CWS and they get raked over the coals with hotel rooms, I bet they'd rather stay on Omaha's campus. I bet they'd rather dorm at Bellevue.
You know how uncomfortable it is for players, though, to dorm up? That's not their. That's not their bed.
You too deep?
Do you remember?
Nobody's in there.
Do you remember going to campus though?
The hotel
and laying
isn't
on that
either.
bed. No,
the hotel isn't either.
But here's what I'm saying. You know the beds that they have in the dorms.
Bring your pillow.
You know that's not about the pillow. It's the bed, right? Those beds fell. They look like they fell off a truck most of the time.
Dang, man.
And they're very springy. But if you go to a hotel, at least you're laying in some comfort.
No.
Oh,
no.
The beds are much more comfortable than a dorm room bed. Those things are paper thin.
Okay. I mean, maybe.
I'm caring about the players here. Now, for parents.
No, you're caring all right.
Now, for parents, like, you know what? Sleep wherever. Right?
Unless you're like Laviolette.
We have Joel
here at A&M or somebody that's like, what is he, like 6'6"? That dude's like 6'6", 240 from A&M. Just a freshman. No dorm beds are fitting him. But he's in college. They're in a different regional. Now, there are some big boys. But unless you're like 6'6", 240, I don't want to hear it.
DB, I think you're missing it.
It's the pillows, not the bed.
Yeah, but you can bring your own. I bring my own pillow to the hotel.
Then you're cool.
No, it's also the bed.
No,
I don't want to crook it back. I don't want to look like Quasimodo when I'm down there.
You were back on Quasimodo, huh?
It's not pseudo.
Yeah. So we need to get back to the talented versus useful. Because guess who's in that discussion now? That would be Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
Shoot. Tatum.
Talented. Haven't been too useful.
Well, let's check in on Joel. We got a short
How does he
segment
only have
with Joel.
7 minutes?
Right, that's all it says. Joel, what's up? Explain.
Why are we on the clock, buddy?
I gotta go to this practice in a bit.
Okay. It makes sense.
Which
All right.
practice?
Hey,
volleyball.
Let me ask you something, Joel. 10:59
What's
tomorrow. NIL. Creighton has one of the best in the country. I stand by that. Does Trey Alexander join Kalkbrenner?
That's what I'm leaning toward. That's what it feels like.
Feels like it. Yeah.
I think he has no choice. He really wants to be drafted. And based on from what I've heard about workouts and whatnot, he could be drafted. It would be super late. And from what I've heard, it's just he's weighing two-way contracts right now, and I'm not sure that's something he went into the process with his eyes set on. I think he wanted something more secure. So I'm not sure that's what he wants. I think it's just Creighton's turn to kind of maybe sweeten the deal on their end to make sure he feels better about coming back. Because I think really not like I don't think that he feels bad about coming back, but he's definitely gotten close enough to this NBA thing where it's like he's definitely like, damn, like I got so close. Like there's that feeling for sure.
Now, I may lean on DB for assistance here because we got a call earlier on in the show about Kalkbrenner versus Fred King, and the words that
that
Jesse
was my man
used,
Jesse. Yeah.
Was it by the end of their career? Say
said
Kalk
he
didn't
said-
come back.
He said Kalk has reached his ceiling.
Okay, that was it.
King has more upside.
Do you think that Frederick King has more upside ultimately than Ryan Kalkbrenner?
That's a crazy thing to say. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know. Yeah, as a college player, probably not. Maybe beyond. I think, bro, Fred King hasn't played basketball long enough for us to be saying things like that. I mean, I would have to see his leap this year, which feels like obviously cheating, but answering your question. But it's too much of a variable. Like I'd have to know his development from year to year to be able to say something like that. Because Ryan took a huge leap from his freshman to sophomore year, and we're talking about. I mean, Ryan Kalkbrenner. Maybe we all don't know what we're watching as a college player in Ryan Kalkbrenner, but this is a dude who turned Creighton into the hardly top 100 defense to a legitimate top 15 defense almost himself. And so this is what they're getting back. A guy that's going to make them a top 20 defense again, which was going to be necessary because it's just harder. Who Fred King is right now, I mean, if you watch, the games he played significant minutes, he doesn't stay in plays. He's always trying to swat something to the third row, and maybe that's something they're fine-tuning this summer. But the feel in general, and this is probably from Kalkbrenner playing basketball for a long time, being the URBO's shot blocking leader, the feel as a shot blocker, just the defensive instincts for Kalkbrenner are why he's able to alter a team defense at this level. And so, I don't know that King has that upside. Not at least while we're talking about the restrictions of the 4 years of college, maybe beyond. But as a college player, no, I don't see it.
So let me ask you something. Let me fast forward real quick to the NBA because obviously you're busy being important, covering multiple sports. And listen, I'm Team Kirsten, so you cover volleyball all you want to, Joel. More disappointed in Boston or more impressed with the cheat?
That's a crazy thing to call them.
They're like a cheat code. 7 finals. Riley's played, coached, or participated in a quarter of them.
He just misinterpreted the word cheat. I get it, because I kind of did too there for a half sec.
They're like a cheat code.
Crazy. That's crazy. No, I'm disappointed in the Celtics, man. And then the discourse around them is like
it's dysfunctional.
It's
dysfunctional.
And this is probably an isolated incident, but I seen somebody say, "Oh yeah." Last night I seen a post. They were like, "Oh, Tatum is in this year, and Brown is in that year. His year of age 26 and age 24, and guess who was at that stage and lost this many conference finals by then? Mike and Pippen." I'm like, bro, we're not doing this. We can't do this. Like, those dudes are disappointed. I'll cut Tatum some slack because he got hurt or whatever. But Jaylen Brown, that's like generational point shaving, man. What he was doing.
The 8 turnovers?
8. Yeah, that's generational point shaving. And so, I mean, for Derek White to be the only guy to really, I mean, the other guys had their flashes, but Derek White was like, he's been their hero almost.
You do realize, though, Joel, there shouldn't have been 3 seconds put back on the clock. It was 2-7.
Oh, yeah,
it was 2-7 maximum.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be catastrophic for the Heat for them to, you know, not walk away from that game, closing things out. But the Heat, I mean, nothing surprises me anymore. Like, you kind of, maybe I said this to you guys already, but you kind of just waiting on the run to end, and it just doesn't. And I thought after 3 straight games, that Boston had finally woke up, but couldn't depend on them when it really came down to it. I mean, they were at home. Their second option had 8 turnovers. I don't remember what the Heat finished with, but I remember at one point he had more turnovers than all of the Heat. So just generational, not showing up, generational point shaving.
All right, Joel, we'll let you go be busy. We'll let you go do your thing.
It's not our fault. You're multi-talented, man. You go do
We
your
appreciate
thing,
you, though, man.
Yeah, I'll talk to y'all next week.
He's like, thank God.
He's like, yeah, these guys are giving me a hard time. Oh, man, we love volleyball.
That's
And we
Joel
love-
Lorenzi.
And we love Kirsten.
Creighton beat for the Omaha World Herald at JX Lorenzi on Twitter.
I wonder where she would be if her kids weren't in high school. She has to be in high demand. She's sensational as a volleyball coach.
I think most coaches are like that, though.
Yeah.
They're just in high demand, whether you have kids or not.
Yeah, she's a stud.
I don't know. Maybe,
She is a stud.
maybe I'm wrong about that. Going back to his Kalkbrenner versus King real fast. Just
Are you mad at Jesse?
a little bit.
Hey, Jesse will call you every day if you want him to. He has hot takes.
I'm for hot takes. Like, because I don't,
Jesse?
and you know what? I don't know. Like, I really don't know. But we talk about efficiency all season with Ryan Kalkbrenner, his ability to score. If you look at his stats, what is he taking? 10 shots. He's making 9. Like, defensively, yeah, he did butt in and say, but defensively, like, who really knows if King can be that? But you just look at what Ryan Kalkbrenner's been able to do, and whether or not he can do a standing dunk or not, that offense moves through him. It really can. The offense move through Fred King? I don't know. If Kalk doesn't return and Trey Alexander is the only one to return, would you say that Creighton is where they were last year preseason? Would you say that they are lower, higher? I'm guessing you wouldn't put them as top 10 preseason, knowing that they just had Trey Alexander.
Creighton?
Yeah. Fred King. Stephen Ashcraft.
Listen, if Trey Alexander comes back,
Ashworth
with
I knew I was
Kalkbrenner,
close.
listen, if Trey Alexander comes back with Kalkbrenner,
The expectations are higher than they were a year ago.
Correct. But I was saying if you remove Kalkbrenner and you put King in that scenario, I don't think
you're
they
trying
are.
to establish value.
Yeah.
No, I'm with
and
you.
And I know
No,
that.
I'm
and
with
I know
you. I'm with
Kalkbrenner-
you. I'm
but,
with you.
But I'm also like trying to like, I don't want to talk myself out of a point, but I get it. Like obviously
I'm with
King
you.
doesn't bring the value right now because we haven't seen it.
I'm with
We haven't seen it yet. Yeah.
I'm actually okay with that.
Let's go to the phones and talk to B. Out of breath, Brian, here to cook up some barbecue, I believe. What's up, B?
Barbecue or mildew, B? What's up?
What's going on? Before I get on basketball, I heard y'all talking about smoking food, smoking cod and stuff like that.
Heck yeah.
And then I heard Andrew trying to say something. I was like, man, you gonna make me call in here and chastise you today?
Come on, B. What you got?
You gotta have a $400 or $500 smoker. You live in Nebraska. You can't go out and smoke in the cold. You call yourself a Nebraskan?
No. So the idea was, so I think you misheard my point. When I got, it's between a smoker and a fan in the bathroom. But when I said the house was built, it was with a window in the bathroom. So they expected when you take a hot shower to keep the window open in the winter. That's what I was saying.
Hey, if you're making a business decision or buying a decision between those two, I guess you had, balance off. How bad are your guts? Okay. If you're stinking up the bathroom, you might want to get
No, but it's not about stinking up the bathroom. It's about all the hot air that gets into my attic.
That's childish.
It gets into my attic, B, and I'm trying to avoid mold. I'm avoiding the mold.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. Avoiding that mold. The guts have messed up the wall. That's all I'm saying.
I took that as a maybe you're going number 2 too much. I don't know.
Child.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. Hey, now, because I just got done watching the TikTok. Oh, you talk about barbecue. I watched these, man. They took a file cabinet with 5 drawers and turned it into a smoker.
I saw the brother.
That's pretty sweet.
He was legit. Yeah.
That's hood stuff right there, Andrew.
Super hood.
Know how to Jimmy rig. You gotta know how to Jimmy rig.
What, are you gonna build me one?
Just like when your cable go out, you gotta take that hanger and tie it back to the old days and tie it to the cable just to get that signal. You gotta know how to Jimmy rig, but you ain't gotta smoke. Go talk to a teacher. OPS, I'm pretty sure OPS got plenty of file cabinets.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
They got teachers quitting. They don't want to work, so I'm pretty sure they sitting there wide open.
B, I'm not handy though. I'm not handy. Yeah, I can hardly lay mulch on my own.
Wow.
Hey, Damon. I'm saying that my girlfriend's a teacher at Wakanda, but yeah, I gotta give them the business. I gotta give because school is out and she had to go to work today. That don't make no sense.
Oh, sometimes it's just like that, B.
Man, the kids ain't there. Why is she there? Why is she there? Wasting tax dollars.
Is she cleaning her classroom?
Something. Need something. I need to do something. You maybe give it up like the Celtics did last night.
There he is.
They should give it up. Hey, Damon, I feel like the Miami Dolphins, whenever the last team loses, there's no more undefeated teams. As long as the Celtics don't win a championship, that's when you crack the bottle open. We shouldn't be feeling sorry that they lost. If you're a Laker fan, we should be jubilant. We should be on Dodge Street right now. All right, pour it up. We should be down there with with Brickway going ahead and serving. Oh, y'all like Brickway. All right, right.
Are you guys up one now?
Yes, we are, Shane. You hater.
Great.
I think you're all right. Brown needs to go, and I think the people in that front office of the Celtics need to go because I think they have something to do. I always believe that leadership, bad leadership, works its way down the ranks. What they say, roll downhill, that's what it is. And that's what LeBron tweeted out last night when it came to Eric. Hey, Eric, man, with the burner account. I should have did that a long time ago. I should have did that. Y'all getting on me in them elementary school game, man. Y'all got mad when I called a foul in that little first grade. I should have had a burner account.
Missed opportunity.
NBA is crazy nowadays, fellas. I'm looking forward to the championship. I think Denver gonna run them.
Hey, let me get you out of here on this, B. Would you be happy if the Lakers got Kyrie, even though you want to get rid of AD?
And no, he don't play no defense. And he hasn't, in my opinion, since he's been in the league, I can't think of one team where he helped improve or have them have a winning record. He didn't do it when he was with Cleveland before LeBron got there. He hasn't did it anywhere else. I don't even know what all the smoke is about Kyrie. I might as well keep D'Angelo. At least he's trying to play some defense.
Wow.
At least he likes it. Hey, at least he'll show up to the game to try to play defense. I don't know about Kyrie. I don't know if he want to play tomorrow. I don't know if he want to play next week. I don't know if he want to go on sabbatical. I don't know with the Mormons. I don't know.
As long as there's no birthday parties or COVID, we're fine.
Hey, as long as there's no protest in the streets for certain groups, he won't take time off. I don't know. I'm not really enthused about Kyrie. Or like, is he gonna play defense? That's all I want to know. I haven't seen it. So, but
it's tough.
B, we appreciate you, man.
I
don't know if I'm an NBA team if I want Kyrie at all.
I mean, I don't.
I'm
just telling you,
put his talent aside. If there is
I'm
talent
already
still there,
unbearable. If he is a Laker, I'm not even. You're gonna be like, get this dude out of here.
Does that call go on the
Laker,
pedestal?
you're choosing a new team.
Does that call go on the mantle?
So I drive past Wakanda all the time. It's
forever.
It's on yes, Wakanda forever. It's on about 48th and Curtis, so it's super north. But Micah practices at McMillan, so I go that way because it's easy, and they've had renovations and they kind of did a facelift and. But I think that's funny that she's at Wakanda and he's like advocating for the district. Because I would imagine it's kind of a difficult school. So to hear him say that, like, why would she be at school with no kids? And I wanted to say, but he may not know, because I don't know how long they've been dating. But like, there's contracted employees, so sometimes you're 10 months,
right?
Sometimes you're an admin, and you just go until they say, okay, you have time off. So I don't know what her contract states.
Man, it is weird though, because most teachers, at least the ones I know, are done when the school year is over. Like they'll go for like a week or two to clean their classroom up, but once that's done, if it does take that long, then they do whatever for the rest of the summer. They can do.
Now, if you're a 10-month employee, or you're an admin,
so admin makes sense. Like if you're in the office,
sometimes you're only off like a month.
A teacher,
maybe.
A little bit different, I think.
Yeah. So I didn't have the heart.
But I don't know.
He was on a roll, so I didn't want to ask.
I'm not a teacher.
I can't believe he's out on AD. I don't know.
He was productive in the playoffs.
He was.
Like I don't want anyone to take that away from him.
Just didn't always show up.
Yeah.
I put that card on social
That's a bunch of BS.
I put that card on social media for you.
Oh, did you?
Oh, it was so heavy and dense too.
Man, I guess our last point before we end up going to break here. How much
Are
credit
we doing those?
How much credit do you think Eric Spoelstra and the rest of the staff deserve for getting this group this far?
Listen, he's a top 4 coach in the league. In the entire league. By the way,
people keep sleeping on him though.
Interesting hire for the Bucks, hiring an assistant in Toronto and not the head coach himself.
Because the head coach went somewhere else.
That's the rumor. Ink the deal, and I'll be all in.
Put pen to paper. Stick around. More coffee and cream coming your way. We still have the sports six-pack to get to later on in the show. We'll be back.
Rodgers and Benning will be back in 5 minutes. Rodgers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rodgers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rodgers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rodgers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rodgers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds.
And all this other stuff. Yeah, it doesn't really involve you with that.
Coffee and Cream with Rodgers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
Welcome back. Coffee and Cream in the morning on Hail Varsity Radio, powered by Currency. Damon Benning, Andrew Rodgers, happy to have you with us. Just about 30 minutes left in this morning's show. Back from Memorial Day. Hopefully everyone had a good, safe weekend. And hopefully it's nice to be back at work. Refreshing. Maybe not. Maybe you're like, I wish I had one more day.
I know. My mom was like, yeah, your nephew's coming to pick me up to go to the cemetery. And I was like, I think I'm going to pass. It's a mindset, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and she's cool. Like she just rolls with it.
Sure.
I'm not sure that was the original intent with the mood she was in, but I don't think she wanted my nephew to go alone either. So she was just like, yeah, I think I'm rolling. Was waiting for Caleb, who gets back tonight from California. They went 5-1.
It's pretty good.
In Anaheim. At the Compton Magic Memorial, beat Compton Magic, who is a highly regarded team, but blew a 16-point lead yesterday. So lost at the
Not
buzzer.
the way you want to end.
Lost at the buzzer. I'm going to tell Sauter how bad he is at
Did
what
they
he
put
does.
2.7 or 3 seconds on the clock?
So
at
did
the
you
end?
not think that was going to be a thing? Because
I thought it was.
The clock was poor.
Yeah,
I'm like, how'd they get 3 seconds back on the clock? That was
when it started at
that
3
was
seconds.
2.6 at minimum.
Right.
At minimum.
Mm-hmm.
And if it was 2.6, we're not even having this conversation. They win the game.
Well, and here's the big deal, because if that was a foul before 3 seconds ran off the clock, it would have been 2 free throws
on the floor,
not 3. And when Jimmy Buckets buries 3, and then all of a sudden the tip in takes place, and Jimmy Buckets wearing the St. Louis Browns.
He's totally
hat.
trolling. He's totally trolling.
And he does it without saying a word.
Yeah, because I don't think he knows that people will know, because it's kind of low key. But I mean, that guy right there, and we haven't had him on the show before, but Trayshawn Thurman played with Caleb Martin at Nevada. Trayshawn Thurman's from here locally.
Sure.
He'd tell you he's absolutely stone cold. Stone cold as Caleb Martin.
He was a stud at Nevada.
Listen, and him and his brother, and they answered the dinner bell. See, you know me really well now, even for the short stint we've been around, because you're with me every day. The one thing that I gravitate towards is, do you rise to the occasion? You can do all this other stuff when it doesn't matter against bad teams. Do you rise to the occasion?
That man does.
He rises to
that
the
man
occasion.
does.
That's why I like Jimmy Butler. Right?
Yeah.
That's why I like
I really like Jimmy too, because he doesn't
he
doesn't talk about how he needs other people. He just does him.
He's a Red Sox now, but that's why I like Justin Turner. Clutch. I like folks that, if there's a game to win, I'm taking those guys. The T. Fraziers of the world. That's just what I gravitate towards. I'm going with winners. A lot of guys and gals are.
You don't need the big name.
Jordan Ball. Right? How good is Jordy Ball?
Unreal.
Pretty clutch.
Now, she's also one of the best pitchers in the game.
How about Malin, though? And see, so we know her dad really well, like former Nebraska guys. But you got Washington and Oklahoma in this deal. Like, and we always talk about, is softball self-sustaining within the state?
Mm-hmm.
2 local yokels.
Right.
Out here doing big things. Oklahoma is silly.
Yeah.
That come from if you've never watched it, not shame on you, but it is legit.
It's not a waste of time.
It is legit.
It is not.
It moves fast. Like
it's not something that you'll turn off the TV and think, why did I just spend 2 hours watching the softball game? It's going to be well, it was pretty lively.
It was a lot more entertaining than watching flipping North Carolina and Clemson in a steady light rain. That was annoying.
But DB, these are people that you're going to see play in Major League
and
Baseball.
Why did they play 2 ACC games at the same time? Like, why was Wake going the same time as Carolina?
Do you think they paid that close of attention to it?
I don't know. I mean, I get it, but I think they both. And Clemson started late, but fudge. Big Ten wouldn't do that.
Big Ten wouldn't advertise it.
Hey, were you kicking yourself that you wanted to stay with Iowa as they get to the finals?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Were you?
Sure was.
Brunsey let me know too. He sent me a text. He's like, "Hey, how about he gave me Iowa with the eyeballs?"
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Hey, man, I probably should have not talked Uncle Ruru into not riding with Indiana."
I just got caught up. I got caught up with, hey, they just mercied the team in the first round.
Yeah, but is Sandacool and Falco, are those guys going to replicate that again? I couldn't believe they rolled Sandacool, rolled him right back out there.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then for their troubles, they get the deuce.
It's kind of like what I thought about with LSU, because I'm like, okay,
I still don't like LSU.
Well, so with LSU, it's interesting because it's do you start Skeens, right? Do you start him?
It's Friday. You do what you want. You got
and he's a Friday guy.
Yep.
So I would start him against Tulane because more times than
who
not,
upset as the 7,
right? And has
East Carolina
19 wins, right?
And they got sweet uniforms.
Yeah, they do.
Tulane has the best uniforms.
I'm all about just winning the game. I don't want to prepare for the next game. You win the first game. So I'm going to start him because more times than not, you're probably going to need him by the time game 4 rolls back around, if that's what it takes, or you're on in the next round and you're good. So LSU, I think, is in an interesting spot. Oregon State's a tough draw for them.
How about Oklahoma getting in?
Yeah, I almost wonder if that was like a little bit of love from last year.
Maybe. I mean, they have 26 losses, which I believe outside of Florida, A&M is the most losses in the tournament.
Yeah, FAMU has what, 28?
28. They're 29-28.
Mm-hmm.
So it's close. I'm within a game. I don't quote me on that.
Have you looked at some of the long shot odds?
No.
So
in college baseball, who are you trying to be? Alabama?
No, like if you really look at the long
you
shot
start
odds,
talking about long shots in
Yeah.
college baseball, and Vegas is going to be like, who?
Uh-huh.
What?
Yeah, we'll bet on Eastern Illinois, and all of a sudden they pop out of the Super Regionals, right?
Flag the account. Flag the account.
But I kind of like Cal State Fullerton as a 3.
Yeah, well, what do you think? Phil Nevins back or?
Hey.
Why are you
Hey,
doing that? Huh?
quiet down.
Why are you
and
doing
then
that?
watch out for Oral Roberts as a 4.
Yeah, not buying it.
You're looking at a team that
Not buying it. They
lost
raced
very few games
now
this season.
They do have what, in my opinion, is the softest of the 1 seeds in
Oklahoma State.
Yes.
Yeah.
So okay, I'm with you. And Dallas Baptist and Washington are in that region too.
They're
so
good.
You know what? That's not far fetched. Okay, like you want to give me a watch out as a 4, but I do think if you know college baseball, whomever wins that region, you would not be surprised unless it's Washington.
Correct.
That's
correct.
Even though
Yep.
Washington is the 3,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Because DBU was ranked in the top
And
15 for the majority of the year.
Yep.
And then you have Okie State, as you said, also a team ranked up there. The team that I feel bad for, Army. They have to see Virginia and East Carolina.
Yeah, but did you think Virginia should have been a 1?
Mm-mm.
I just don't know who else you would have made. Like, I hate that when people say
I don't like that Campbell isn't a 1.
Yeah, but Virginia's a top 8 national seed, and I know there's 7. But I watched them all year in that conference.
They have a lot of wins, too. They do have a lot of wins.
Were they at
44, I believe.
45?
Yeah. So maybe I'm being a little too harsh on
45
them.
and 12 in the ACC.
I mean,
so you like Wake, you like Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, Miami's on a heater. A little bit.
Looking at RPI, they are 10. So yeah, probably. I'm being a little too harsh on them.
On
Virginia.
Yeah, they're good at the top of the rotation too. They got 3 studs. They had everybody able to throw going into this weekend. So I was a little surprised at their outcome. They had their top 2 guys available against Carolina going into the weekend, and Carolina jumped on them. So I was like,
right.
That got my attention towards Chapel Hill because I was like, oh, well, maybe they're starting to get it going.
Yeah, the road to Omaha is going to be interesting.
Yeah,
really tight.
I mean, are you comfortable with LSU as the 1 with Oregon State as the 2?
LSU had to be a 1. Am I comfortable?
I know one thing. You better throw
No.
Skane against Tulane.
Well, that's what I was saying from the very beginning.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I'm.
Yeah.
Don't play games with it.
No, don't mess around. LSU's messed around a little too much this year, and they've been banged up.
And listen, same state, little chip on the shoulder. Tulane will be rough and ready. And again, the greatest uniforms in college baseball.
Maybe. I still like the powder blue in Carolina. I really do.
I do. I'm with you.
6-pack next.
Rodgers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rodgers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rodgers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rodgers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rodgers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rodgers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio. Time now for the Sports Six-Pack on Coffee and Cream with Andrew Rodgers and Damon Benning. Presented by Zipline Brewing Company, makers of Dear Old Nebraska Brew, the official beer of Nebraska alumni.
Hey, before we get into the Sports Six-Pack.
It's our first time.
This is just double clutching, right? Logan Smothers.
Pump fake,
has announced that he will be going to Jacksonville State.
Oh, back at the house.
So
I know that
Logan Smothers no longer a Nebraska Cornhusker.
That breaks up. That probably does not make Coach real happy, but you're cheering for the kiddos.
Mm-hmm. So the quarterback room gets a little bit thinner, but he'll be going on to play with. He'll be going on to play with a guy named Rich Rodriguez.
Yeah, Rich Rod.
Who
QB run game, baby.
If those cannot see, doesn't he look like
Michigan Lance will be happy?
Doesn't he look like the dad in Waterboy? Hey, Bobby, it's me, Roberto.
No. And
seen you on the ESPN.
He was like,
tell me that doesn't look like Roberto, DB.
Is that the one that married the voodoo woman named Helen?
Well, initially, yeah.
Or whatever.
Seen you on the ESPN.
CIAO Roberto.
Here you go. Ready?
What?
False.
No.
Come on.
Let me try to tilt it. No.
Tilt it up
I can see it. I mean, I'll give it to you because you're creative.
Facial.
But that's fine. That's fine.
All right, let's do the Sports Six-Pack. Presented by Zipline Brewing. They had a very and I don't want to call it somber, like bittersweet.
Sentimental.
Sentimental is a good one. Farewell tour last week. A day full of events to celebrate their original tap room, but that's for brewery expansion. So kudos to them and some great events that they put on over there. Give Zipline a check. Check them out. Zipline Brewing. Shane, go ahead.
Question number 1.
Why do you think Rule believes Nebraska is already further ahead in year one than how he felt in his other stops?
I think it's because
we got a little insight, but I can't remember what he said.
Great point. First, I was going to start with, well, they overcame the tough adversity from last year.
How do you put it?
He put it this way. He said, and I believe I can say this, he said he's already had conversations with the older guys. Like, the guys came to him and said, hey, is it going to be like every other time? Because if so, like, it's my last year, and I don't want it to be like, hey, you're playing young guys over me just because you know you're trying to progress to the point. So because of those conversations, that's why I think Coach Rule believes he's already there. He's already past that point to where they don't need to go 1-11 and play the young guys just to feel like, okay, we got a season under our belt. Let's regroup, keep the development process going, and move forward.
I think, why do I think it's more like year 2? I think it's because of the way Nebraska finished last season.
And that was where I was going to land initially before you turned my brain.
Well, he
to that
said
point.
so much. See, that's the problem with you having insight, right? Because you have to put it against, that's the downside of having information. But I'm still going to go with the fact that it's because they played the way that they did at the end of the year against Iowa, which is what most teams don't do in a situation if you're inheriting. They didn't even want him in Waco, and Temple was a nightmare. So it's like he has to think this is better. So if
the best part is the guys believe.
If nothing by how he feels alone, and remember, he didn't hammer the transfer portal either. So I think they're all in.
I think that's telling too.
I think they're all in.
Question number 2.
Which series will go longer? Damon's Nuggets versus the Heat or Andrew's Panthers versus the Knights?
That's not my Nuggets.
That's a lie.
That's for sure.
Is it my Panthers?
Sure.
Is that what he said? I'll say the Panthers and Knights.
It's hockey, right? So play it safe. I assume the Nuggets get out in a gentleman's sweep. 5.
Is that the assumption?
I think hockey goes longer than 5. I'll take the NHL.
It'll be interesting to see how the defenses really match up, because the way Vegas has been playing defensively doesn't match what Florida's doing, but the offensive prowess that they can start from that, but then they have to see Bobrovsky. Same thing in the other way.
Yeah.
You have really good offense.
Do you believe in him yet? Because I don't think you really wanted to. I
didn't want to, but I do.
I think
now.
we're turning back the clock.
And why not?
All right, Shano.
Question number 3.
If you could spend 1 year at a college, not named the university you graduated from, where would you spend it?
So there's 3 that come to mind.
Okay, go ahead.
Oregon, North Carolina, and Georgia. All for different reasons. Oregon, because the brand has sold the student population. They have so much money and it's so laissez-faire. It's intriguing. Coach Rule said, I would not try to continue to recruit players that have an opportunity to go to Oregon because they have the means to just buy players. So I'm interested. North Carolina because I love North Carolina. Period. Baseball, basketball, football. And I've been there, so I'm intrigued. Why Georgia? Because I think it's vastly harder than people think to get everybody to play the right way when you're really, really good. Kirby Smart is underappreciated as a head coach. Why couldn't Tom Crean work in basketball? Why do you win a national championship or play for a national championship against Fresno State in the College World Series, make a great coaching hire, can't win in baseball, can't win in basketball, even though you have the number 1 overall pick? I think Georgia's interesting because of the influx of talent and how they can't quite put it all together. So those would be my 3. If I had to land on one, I'm going to take Georgia.
I'm between LSU and Miami.
Ooh, I like the Miami call.
So 2 really good sports, because I was thinking sports first, but then I want to go somewhere warm. And I think both of those places are good. If I want to be in the best environment for warmth, I would choose Miami. But I think you may find, would you find the better sports team at LSU? I'll rest in Miami just because I want the weather and I want the good sports teams, men and women.
I'm going to go with Hawaii.
Oh, that's a good one.
You're not even going to travel to Hawaii,
That's a good
Shane,
one.
because you're afraid to fly over water.
Question
Never
number
even
5.
You wouldn't fly over the Platte River, Shane?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
He was mad about traffic to Des Moines.
You can take a boat. You can take a boat to Hawaii. You just got to
Jeez.
leave early enough.
Long trip. It's a long flight.
You're going to be gone a year. What does it matter?
Go ahead, Shane.
Question 5. Every year that Miami hosts a regional, Marklight Field comes out with team-specific milkshakes. Which one are you drinking if you had to leave it every day for the next week? Texas BBQ brisket, Louisiana Tabasco, or marine butter lobster, and all are made from vanilla ice cream.
I'm so confused.
Read that again
What
and
just
hurry up.
happened
Hurry
there?
up. Hurry up.
I don't think I can read it fast. Okay. Every year that Miami hosts a regional, Marklight Field comes out with team-specific milkshakes. Which one are you drinking if you had to have it every day for the next week? Team barbecue brisket.
Team or Texas?
Texas barbecue brisket, Louisiana. I'm going fast here. Louisiana Tabasco or marine butter lobster, and all are made with.
So those are the
vanilla ice cream.
milkshakes.
Yeah.
I guess milk is closest to butter. I'll go with lobster, even though cold fish doesn't sound good. And I like sushi. I'll take the lobster. Tough question, though.
I'll try the barbecue brisket. I don't want the spicy milkshake.
God, do you want brisket cold?
I don't know if I want any of them.
Feel you.
Okay, here's question 6. Who has the biggest surprise and the biggest disappointment so far in Major League Baseball? And out of those 2 teams, who do you think will end up with the better record come the end of the season?
So, biggest surprise
and biggest disappointment so far.
Well, the biggest surprise is easy, even though I have them in the playoffs.
Is that the Diamondbacks?
Texas Rangers. Although I did say the Diamondbacks would be good. The Rangers are easily the biggest surprise. Easily. They're atop the West, and they're in the same division as the Astros.
Biggest surprise for me would be the Orioles, I think.
We knew they were going to be good, Drew.
Did we? Did we just assume? Because if you look up and down their roster,
that's fair.
we're like,
That's
they're
fair.
pitching? Really? 34-20, kind of the same, right? 34-19 for the Rangers, although the run differential for the Rangers is insane. They have the best in baseball, plus 128. Biggest disappointment?
Mine's easy.
I'll do the Padres.
I'll do the Cardinals.
I just didn't want to land on my boys.
It's close. Like, I get the Padres because they both have the same amount of wins. But the Padres should win their division, or the Cardinals should win their division.
And that's why I don't think they're the biggest disappointment yet, because of how close it still is.
It's 5.5.
Yeah, they're only 5.5 back, and they are 24
and the Padres
32.
are 8 out. I think it's the Cardinals.
And out of those 2 teams, who will have a better record? I will say the Orioles over the Padres. I'm assuming you're going to say Rangers.
I'll take the Cardinals.
Ooh, interesting. We'll be back tomorrow.